Hello everyone, and welcome to Straight Chilling. Each week we watch and review a horror film for your entertainment. You can send all questions and comments to straightchillingpodcast@gmail.com, and don't forget to keep chilling.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing. 5 cold villains on the mic, got you reeling. 5-star ratings from the floor to the ceiling. If you get your 1 star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ, all the 1s and 2s. By the name Elzebub, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all in 2. And prepare to hear the legend of the Straight Chillin' crew.
What up, nerds, and welcome to another toothy episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name's Bob, and I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode number 280, recorded on Sunday, August 16th, 2020. Tonight we're going to be talking about a little movie called Teeth from 2007. This one was chosen by our lovely Patreon supporter, the one, the only Hydraberg. Before we get into the review, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Phoenix, Arizona, we got our boy Randy Gandy G. Landy. What's up, man?
What's up? Ready to be a dentist?
Yes.
We're about to go in both hands into this mouth and and figure this fucking thing out.
This is not the episode if you are a raging anti-dentite. Don't want to listen to this one.
That's true. Seinfeld would not have it, and neither should you.
Absolutely. Next up, also calling in from Phoenix, Arizona, making her triumphant return to the Straight Chilling podcast. Everybody welcome Becky. What's up, Becky?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey. How are you?
Good. I'm really hot in Phoenix, Arizona, but besides that, doing great.
You excited to
maybe die at school, in a couple weeks. It's all cool.
Yeah,
all for your kids.
I really hope that's not the case. But hey, let's talk about vaginas and teeth. I'm excited.
The two
sounds better than dying. It's perfect. Sure. Let's do it.
Oh man, we're not in spoiler zones yet, Bob. Come on.
Not yet. Last but not least, as always, calling in from the Southern Korea, we got our boy Soju. What's up, man?
What up? It's Shaboy Orthopedic Steens. Steens?
Whoa. Speaking of anti-dentite.
Go ahead and open up wide so I can take a look inside her.
Oh my God! This is anti-dentite and anti-Semite by the sound of it.
I just don't know what to say. Orthopedic steen.
Orthopedic? Orthodontic, right?
That's right. That's for your feet. Orthopedic.
Yeah.
Is it? Oh yeah. Open up them feet.
You're in the wrong sector, buddy.
Let me take a look at the marches.
My license,
you got any boils on your teeth? What you got?
My license is real good.
You got any bunions on
wrong,
there?
by the way, but that's a podiatrist. You're talking about people who take care of joints and stuff. That's an orthopedic.
This is the reason you're here, Beck, because you actually have any sort of frame of reference.
Yes. I'm not the orthodontist.
Orthodontist, guys, come on.
Oh my God.
Orthodontist Steens.
We ain't no scientists.
I got one license. It's good for everything. All right.
Okay.
Fishing, orthodontry,
orthodontry, fish-ontry.
It's cracking me up. Okay.
The stains
Aren't
will
you being
cure.
a little stupid?
Oh God. The stains will cure what ails you. Period. That's it. That's all you need.
The stains will cure what ails you. Put that shit on a package.
No thanks. All right. Before we get into the review, let's tackle some housekeeping really quick. A reminder, the September poll pick is currently posted on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're going to be talking about this September. The theme for September is black and white horror movies, and the 3 movies you can vote between are Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, Eyes Without a Face, and House on Haunted Hill.
Bob?
Whatever Happened to Baby Jane is my grandma's most scary movie. If you mention that to her, she'll go, ooh. I don't do a man says humanity.
That sound is 100% dead on.
If it wins, got to get your grandma on the show. Got to do it.
Oh my God, no!
I will ask her. At least record a gift.
Oh,
Bob, how are those numbers looking so
You
far?
just spent 20 minutes talking. I don't know.
House on Haunted Hill is still in first place. Eyes Without a Face is second, and Whatever Happened to Baby Jane is in last place currently. You still got a couple weeks to get your votes in. Make sure you get them in before the 1st of September to be counted.
Around here, that means big money.
Big money!
Big money.
In other Patreon news, we have not one, but 2 brand new Patreon supporters we got to give mad shouts outs to.
Oh.
Gonna be slapping asses raw around here.
Slapping asses clean off they bodies. Big thanks to Clark W. Griswold and also Rodrigo R. for joining us on Patreon, showing some love.
The Griswold was an editorial, right?
Yeah, I added that for sure.
Okay, all right.
Just
If he came in as Clark W. Griswold, I would be like, all right, well, I'm impressed because we got Clark.
Clark Dub.
Whatever,
yeah.
we're impressed anyway.
Thank you guys for supporting us, helping us keep the lights on, and as is tradition around these parts, we owe you both a straight chilling salute. Here we go, Clark and Rodrigo.
Slap my ass!
And again.
Slap me in the ass!
Thank you, boys.
Bo show. Keeping that ass nice and red all year long. Loving it.
Yep. Also includes a free checkup from Shaboy Stain. So,
Which-
He'll check your feet for all of its cavities.
Yeah. Licensed,
Trust him.
insured.
How many
He's your
cavities
guy.
you got in them feet?
Ugh.
You've been flossing between your toes? I hope you have. Doc Staines will know if you ain't.
Doc
That
Stain.
stays.
Really? Okay, we're not able to continue. The Matrix is broken, and we just don't have a host anymore. The timekeeper's broken.
Okay. Juice, do you have any YouTube or Twitch news?
I do not, actually. My house is clean this week.
All right, let's just keep rolling, baby. I want to give a big thanks to everybody that hung out with us on Friday for the Joe Bob Live Watch Party. It was a lot of fun, man. He showed Slumber Party Massacre 2 and also Victor Crowley. We had a pretty solid squad. We don't know when the next time Joe Bob's going to be doing one of his, holiday specials or just whenever he's bringing the regular season back. So it might be a while before we get to do it again. Thanks to everybody for hanging out. It was solid squad. Also, Randy, you were on another show this week. You want to plug that?
I was.
Real quick.
Yeah, I was on the Horror Foray podcast for my third time. Got to review One Cut of the Dead, which is one that we have not reviewed yet, but we have mentioned a couple of times. And it was a good time. We got to talk all about it. Good time rewatching that movie in general. So check that out wherever you feed your ear holes podcasts. I'm sure you'll find it.
Yeah.
Hungry
Bob, you
ear
also
holes.
had a guest spot this week.
Yes.
You were talking about old Candy Mang. Is that correct?
Talking about the Candy Mang with the fine gentlemangs over at Fear and Their podcast. You can find them on Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff. But yeah, we talked about Candyman. It was a good chat. Those guys definitely know what they're doing. And if you like horror movie podcasts, check them out. Give them a listen.
Very nice.
Yeah. I think that's all we got for housekeeping. Let's go ahead and get into the main event. We're talking about teeth, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Tell us.
All right.
Rob, you got this box?
I don't own this movie. I know.
Bob,
Same.
I thought I'd seen this at your place before. I guess I was mistaken.
If I did rent it, probably.
I'm sorry. I
more
thought
than
you
once.
liked physical media, so I thought you.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
I don't know how you're going to have the sex talk with your teenage daughter in a couple years if you don't have this movie.
In a couple of years.
Your teenage daughter in a couple of years.
Yeah.
She came out at 15. It's all fucked up.
With teeth for a vagina.
Got to get Doc Staines on that. He'll pull
Those are
them out.
lessons.
Pull
Those
right
are parenting
out.
lessons you just don't get.
You seem to have been born 15, girl. That don't seem right.
Doc Staines is confused.
Oh. There she is.
There she is.
Oh my God.
Is happening?
That made it too real. Rob, put your baby back to bed.
Sorry, she's 15, still crying. All right. Teeth from 2007, as was chosen by Hyderberg. This movie was written and directed by Mitchell Lichtenstein. Stars Jess Wexler, John Hensley, Josh Peiss, some other folks. Plot synopsis is as follows. Still a stranger to her own body, a high school student discovers she has a physical advantage when she becomes the object of male violence.
That's a hell of a way to put that.
That is
Yeah,
a way.
that's a bit.
Physical
That's
That's a way
She's
to put it.
Okay.
she's got a great left hook. It's just amazing. Watch her go to town.
Lady and gentlemangs, have you seen this before? And would you recommend people check it out? Becky, why don't you do us the honors and kick us off?
I've not seen this movie before. It was my first time, just like hers. Oh my God. But I guess I'd recommend it. Yeah, it was pretty good. I would also recommend it to teenage girls, I think. At the end of the day, if they were kind of into horror, I think this would be a good, empowering / watch yourself type movie, and be a good way to talk to your child or younger sisters or whatever in a positive way, and boys. But I don't know. I think it was empowering in a very strange way, and I kind of appreciated that. So yes, I would recommend it.
All right.
Sweet deal. Randy, what about you?
Ladies biting it for themselves. I think this is a recommendable movie. This is not one that I had seen before, but I knew it quite well from reputation. And I believe that I've had a conversation with you, Rob, about this because I knew you had seen it. So I had a general idea of the plot outline. But nevertheless, I did enjoy myself watching it, and I do recommend it. I think this movie it's fairly unique because it deals so directly with such generally taboo topics in American culture. So, but if you're down for that, which I imagine if you're here on a horror podcast, you've got some semblance of that, then yeah, this is definitely worth watching. I think Becky's right that there's there's a parable going on in this that you can look to, but for the most part, it's just kind of like it's just an interesting coming of age story wrapped up in some really fucking bizarre gruesomeness.
Yeah.
Sweet deal. Juice, what about you?
I had never seen this movie before. I had heard, I think, just Bob talk about it favorably before, I think. But I never seen it for myself, and I actually would not recommend. I think I'm going to disappoint our boy Hyderberg this week because I was not a fan of this movie, but we'll get more into that later. Bob, had you ever seen this before? What did you think?
Yeah, I'd seen this a couple times before. I think I rented this from Blockbuster on 2 separate occasions back in the day.
Whoa, double dip.
I felt the
Still
need.
didn't buy it.
I still didn't buy it. I felt the need to show it to people because it kind of blew my mind at the time. Not as much now, considering, it was 2007. Some time has passed. I'd still give it a light recommend. It's not as hilarious as I recall, but I definitely would. I think it's still worth watching. It's bizarre as hell. Watch it with friends and grab a beer or whatever, or watch it with your teenage daughter and prepare yourself to have a really awkward conversation afterwards. Either or.
Yeah, I know you were just born 3 days ago, but
you're 16.
I need to show you this parable about vagina dentata.
welcome to the world.
Welcome. All right. Well, let's go ahead and drop that spoiler warning and get into the rest of the movie. Here we go.
Spoiler warning.
All right. Vagina with teeth. Freudian? Not Freudian? You be the judge. I don't know.
Freudian doesn't have to be subtle to be Freudian.
No, it does not have to be subtle to be Freudian.
That's the case.
No. Yeah.
I didn't think vagina meant vagina in Freudian world.
Sometimes a vagina is
Right.
just a vagina.
It means
That's what
your
they say.
mother. That's what it means.
Aha, I see.
That's,
Let's really show off our ignorance here today.
Doc
Let's
Staines
showcase
in.
in it.
yep. All right.
So let's talk about?
the movie?
Bob, well, usually Bob's got to. I have been like holding off because usually Bob wants to start with this typed up synopsis.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
want to
yeah.
just come plowing in here.
Don't
Yeah,
don't come plowing in here.
I would
that's for
like
sure.
Yeah, don't do that.
I would like to say that you should skip to the end, but other than that, I think we're good to go.
Yeah, I didn't type it up, but I can say some shit real quick. So
Say some shit.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
well, then no.
Oh, freestyle. Drop a beat.
No. Yeah. All right. We're following this teenage girl, and she. The movie kind of opens up. She's giving a speech to these younger kids at school, and she's taking a vow of celibacy. She's somewhat religious and is saving herself for the right person, which is a commendable thing to do. And we.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
All right. Celibate stains over here.
No commentary on this, Bob.
I see.
No, we're not here to talk about this movie at all. Yeah, she her dad? No, her mom and this other dude get married, and she has a stepbrother, and the movie kind of puts her and her stepbrother at odds, which we find out later more about that stuff. She, through a series of various events in her life, meets some really terrible people, and over the course of her being wooed, she eventually decides that she wants to have sex with this one dude who she's kind of dating, and in the middle of it, changes her mind.
Yeah, she didn't. Okay.
Yeah, she tries to back out, and he's
Rob.
he's not really about it, and we find out she's got teeth in her vagina because
He was being real difficult about it, is what Bob's trying to say.
She was just being a real pill.
Not what I was
She
trying to
kept
say.
saying no and screaming "Help me!" and they just kept on going.
That's man, this
Oh,
synopsis-
interesting. European style.
Oh my god!
What are they doing over there in Europe?
This synopsis is rough. Teeth in her vagina.
Freestyle.
Bites the dude's dick off. She runs into some other terrible people, and their dicks get bitten off too. And she sort of, by the end of the movie, feels somewhat empowered by her newfound vagina teeth, and it seems like she's just going to use it to her own advantage, and she's gonna make terrible men pay by biting their dicks off with her vagina.
And their dicks off.
And then at the
get
end-
a whole lot of the HIV.
There's a post-credit sequence where Nick Fury shows up, and it's really, really awesome when he starts saying, "I'm forming a team."
Damn.
It's called
would've stepped it up
Avengers Special Victims Unit, and you're going to be our number one detective.
So yeah.
Who else would be on that team? I want to know.
I mean, we'll just have to see what Nick Fury's got up his sleeve.
Up his wizard sleeve?
Yes. Jesus Christ.
Old Dick Fury.
Okay.
That's got to be a porn
All right,
star.
hey.
That's got
Dick
to be a
Fury.
porn star. All right. The first scene is fucking weird, right? Because we got these two kids in a little kiddie pool on the front lawn.
Mm-hmm.
They're hanging out, and that's when like the mom and the dad are, I guess, first starting to date, and they're sort of laying back on one another, kicking the relationship off. And these kids,
No, they're married at this point.
are they?
Yeah, but it's still new.
Yeah,
It is
okay,
still
well,
new.
it's still
Yeah, because
Yeah.
he said like something like, "Oh, like it's
She's her
brother
mom.
now," or something.
Gotta get
Wow.
along. Yeah.
Okay.
Your sister.
Well,
She's not my sister.
whatever. These kids are in the pool, and they're like, "Hey, I'll show you mine if you show me yours, or whatever." And I guess the boy pulls his wiener out. It's on the pool. We can't really see it. And then it's the girl's turn, and I guess the boy like tries to do whatever, and his little fingertip gets bitten off by her teeth. So that's how their family starts, which is
Oh yeah, and he's a piece of shit. Like
Yeah.
as a child,
that
he's
dude
like,
is horrible on so many levels. It's like every fucking level is a piece of shit.
Maybe
Yeah.
we'll hunt him. I'm on Heidelberg. That's how he chooses his movies these days.
This movie is filled with cooters, but that
It
dude
is. To the
especially.
brim.
Fuck that dude. That is weird.
Yeah, that dude's very high on the scales, but we're not hunting yet, so
We're not hunting yet.
No.
All right. We got to let this one go. Catch and release.
That's right. Justin's got all of the licenses, the hunting. We can't go hunting without Justin. We got to borrow his license. We got to sign off.
Yeah.
on
Cooter
everything.
season.
I'll let you borrow my orthopedic license to go hunting.
It's
Cooter.
always cool. Oh man. So yeah, we kind of jump forward in time after that, and they're the kids have grown up somewhat. They're like teenagers, and like I said, they're in high school, and Brad's the brother. He's a piece of shit. He's the braddest Brad that has ever bradded in the
He's
world.
got really good sideburns, though.
He does.
Yeah. You really felt that necessary, I guess. Make sure that his sideburns are given their just cause. They're
They're nice and full.
69 dudes.
Oh, that was intentional.
I guess.
That was unintentional, but we'll go with it.
So Brad, as like the teenage Brad, we see him again as he's hiding in the shower, and his sister walks in there to brush her teeth or whatever. He jumps out of the shower to scare her, and he's like completely naked when he does this. He's just in the buff.
He's also, he's in the buff a lot. He spends most of this movie fucking a woman on his bed or whatever with the door open.
In the butt,
Yeah.
exclusively.
He's
living with his
disgusting.
parents.
Yeah.
Exclusively
I like
in the
that.
butt.
So since he's like traumatized now since his sister's vagina.
Oh, is
bit
that what
finger
that
off
was? I
As a
didn't catch that.
child.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now he only has anal sex with women.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that either.
Wait till he comes across a butt with teeth. Just wait.
Oh, man.
Then what are you gonna do?
Anal dentata.
That's when you start putting it between the feet. The feet, you know what I'm saying? Juice, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got the license.
Oh,
I
he
know
knows.
what
He's an
you're saying.
he's an
Unless you get-
orthopedic.
unless you got cavities down there.
That's
then,
right.
That's
You can't bang the cavity feet. You don't want to do that.
yeah.
I get
Unless you're
braces.
Bob. Bob likes extra teeth. So then it's a go.
Nope. He does not. That is not what Bob likes.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you. Switchboard.
Oh man. Brad is also just like shooting a BB gun in his bedroom while smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
And
But
listening
he
to
keeps the
heavy
dog
metal.
in the cage at all times.
Yeah.
and it makes me
Mother.
really
Dog
sad.
named Mother.
Mother.
So he's
well,
clearly holds.
it's not. It's got like an escape. It like goes outside. Like his
Yeah.
room is built to where
It's a
there's like
weird
a doggy
setup.
door.
Yeah, it's weird.
built
It's like
into
almost a
it
porch
whatever.
or something, but not
Yeah.
a porch. Yeah.
It's like open
Probably
air
smells,
part of it.
Probably smells real good in there.
So good.
He
Yeah, I
trains
was
it to
thinking
like
that too.
attack things or whatever. He's
So
just kind of a
good.
piece of shit. And at the
Looks
same
like he
time, they
just
do.
wipes his dirty dick off all on his sheets. So God, that room's got to smell.
Whoa. Oh my
That
god.
dick has cavities, let me tell you. If anything's got cavities, it's that dick.
He needs a checkup.
Be stroking.
Dr. Steens is not taking care of that.
Dr. Steens.
I'm out. Doc Steens is out.
My license doesn't cover this. It covers everything but this.
That is not in the HMO,
Yep.
friend.
That dick's gonna turn black and fall into the crapper. That's for sure.
You're out of network, my guy.
So yeah, they do this, and it poses a stark contrast between him and his stepsister, who is like full on abstinence, wearing T-shirts that say like "Save it
Warning,
for your."
sex will change everything.
Yeah, all sorts of shit, and but she's still a teenager or whatever, so she has the same drives as anybody, and so she's falling for this kid. What's his name? Toby? Is it Toby?
Yeah, Toby.
So there's
Asshole number one.
Yeah. We don't know that though. He comes off pretty genteel from the beginning.
Yeah.
And like the biggest scandal from the beginning for him is that he's had sex before and he's a virgin in God's eyes only.
Oh my God. Oh my
And he's
Lord.
like, I still deal with the guilt, which just adds extra Cooter levels for later. But yeah, so there's that going on, and at the same time, like everybody's like so like her parents are so proud of her for like being this abstinence-minded kid or whatever, and at the same time, her mom is very sick, and I don't think we're told exactly what's wrong with her, but she's very sick, and presumably it's the towering fucking nuclear plant behind their house
Yeah.
that has something to do with both that and the malformation that she's going to discover.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's looming in the back of their house.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the problems that I have with this movie is it brings up a lot of things like that it really like hints heavily towards. It's not even like subtle or anything. It's like, here is something, and we're going to look at it for like several seconds, and it's never going to come up in any kind of capacity whatsoever. That was just like one of a couple things.
Like, I don't think that factors in though, really. Like, you could do without it, but I don't think there's a problem with having it there. Really, that's more of like so like for the people that, you know, are like, well, this doesn't happen. How does this happen? It just gives it something they can point to and say like, okay, well, this is the explanation for how this happens. It doesn't really factor into the story though.
Yeah, I just feel like this movie does it like a few times. I'll bring them up as they come up along. It just feels like they're trying to build some kind of logic into it, but they don't bother to explore it though. It's like, well, I mean, then why? You know what I'm saying? Like it almost like sets up like the building blocks, but then it like just doesn't care to tell you that that's a building block. It's just weird. It's just like a weird.
I'll point it out when we get to others, but
I don't need to know like exactly what kind of toxic waste got into the water or whatever. You know, however it happened.
Well, made it seem like a myth, anyways, because she looked it up.
Yeah,
you know what was wrong with her,
and
it
there's
seemed
also
like
a
it was a mythical thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the deal is with that, but.
Every culture has some sort of myth of a vagina with teeth in it. I guess it's like a real thing. I did some light Googling, very light Googling.
I'm sure it was so light.
I kept it very light. And apparently there was at least one instance in which there was a tumor growing inside of a woman's vagina that did have teeth in it, which is...
No, that's true. That there is a tumor that grows inside of people that, in their head, it can be anywhere, but it'll grow teeth and hair. It's really interesting.
Like nothing I'd ever smelled before.
Oh,
yeah, it probably would be.
Sounds like it absorbed your twin type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has something to do with calcium levels. We learned about it in school, but something,
that is heinous.
Don't drink milk. Don't drink milk, anyone. Stop drinking milk.
Milk? Okay.
Calcium. Right. Keep your calcium levels.
Too much calcium.
That is not what Dr. Steens recommends.
Just drinking milk does not form teeth in your genitals.
Whatever, Randy. You're not my doctor because your last name's not Steens.
Doc Steens is in for duty.
I also, before we move on from Brad too far, he feeds his girlfriend a literal dog bone.
Yeah.
What?
He's a piece of shit.
Yeah. Fuck this.
After I assume he shoves his finger in her ass. Because she's like, get out of there or something. And then like it's when she opens her, because he's like shoving it in her face.
Oh.
And then she says something like, get out of there. And I assume he's like, and then he shoves it in her mouth while she's saying those words.
She sticks around too, which is
she does.
He's just taking it.
Man.
She's got real low self-esteem.
Yeah. Well, there's another scene. Which is weird. There's like a coach at the high school, obviously. And all these kids are coming in from gym practice and they're changing. And the coach is just like leaning up against the wall, just surveying all of these teenage boys changing out of their gym clothes. Did you guys notice that at all?
No,
I didn't notice that. No,
it's Toby. Like
I did notice there's a lot of dong in this scene, though.
There's a lot.
Toby
swinging.
Toby calls
so it wiped
Dawn.
out the yabos for me.
Oh well, okay. All right. Toby calls Dawn on their cellular telephones, and like as they're changing, and the coach is just like lounging in the back. I don't know. I thought it was weird. And
it's high school gym teachers. What do you expect?
I gotta inspect my boys.
Gracious. Their conversation though is that it's very sweet. They're like too horny to hang out with each other, and they both admit that. To like, we're gonna fuck if we keep hanging out, so let's not hang out because
in so many words. Yes.
Yeah, in so many words. So they decide to like take a step back, and that lasts for like a day, and then Dawn calls Toby, and she's like, "Hey, you want to hang out?" And he like hauls ass.
That was
that was funny.
Bit.
Yeah.
Just like they just smash cut to car just fishtailing down a lane or some shit. And so they end up going to the spot that's they just established earlier on is known for being a place where kids go fucking. behind a
It's
waterfall.
like a cave by a lake, yeah.
Go
or
fuck
whatever.
little grotto.
Point is what it's called.
Yeah. Go fuck point. Yes. And so she invites him out there. He fishtails his ass in and they start heading that direction and they find the little like disgusting fucking sleeping bag
Yes,
area.
ugh. It's been used by many people. Ugh.
And they start going and they
It's
start
real
working it out.
crispy.
And he's been totally respectable for pretty much this whole time. I would
Yeah,
say
he
like
seems
he's been
alright
acting
so
respectable.
far. Yeah.
And at certain point she's just like, no, I think we need to leave. I think we need to go. And then he's like,
Nope.
no. And basically he's like, oh, just relax.
He
and
literally yells, "I haven't jerked off since Easter."
Which was hilarious.
That's why
but
you
also horrifying.
don't subscribe to
why don't you think of me and my non-masturbation?
those types of programs when you're a teenager? Just don't get involved in them.
We're gonna get arrested.
So
Yeah, that's when it became extremely rapey pretty quickly
Yeah.
for me.
And that's like a pretty good like representation of I think a lot of date rapes that aren't really covered in movies as much, where it's not somebody that, you know, just like finds you behind a dumpster or some
Yeah, it's
shit.
not like a twisty villain.
It's somebody
like,
that you're interested in who thinks that he's so close that he can't be judged for pushing it over the goal line when there's, you know, resistance.
And he actually does like kind of knock her head back. I think it's somewhat of an accident, and she like kind of passes out for a minute.
Yeah,
and he keeps going.
And at first he's like, "Oh, are you okay?" And then he doesn't care.
keeps going.
As soon as those
Yeah,
words come out of his mouth, it stops mattering if she's okay.
Well, he
Not
does
great.
like, I'm sorry, and then she like kind of wakes up a little bit, like,
Yeah,
oh, she's not dead, and then he kind of like,
And then he's like, "Yeah,
she's well enough."
And then his dick
That's horrifying.
gets bitten off, and we see
Yeah.
the bloody dangly
we saw a
stump.
stump." Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
and then he jumps into the water and is never seen again.
Yeah.
I assumed he escaped, but I guess he died.
I thought he
No, we
escaped
found
too
he
because
died.
the next scene or a scene or two later, her other friends, their mutual friends, this other couple in the abstinence group, says something to her like, "Oh, have you seen Toby?" And she's like, "No, I haven't seen him." And she's like, "Oh," he's like, "Oh, he wants to come and see your speech today, so keep an eye out."
He said
for
he
it," or
wanted to
something like that.
support
Yeah.
you. Yeah,
And I took that to mean, oh, so he is still alive, and for some reason he's pursuing her still. But I guess that was like information passed before all that happened.
before.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah,
a couple of days ago he wanted to show up. That's what I think they said. So
Yeah. Okay. So I
They,
didn't
we
catch it.
later see she goes back after the fact at night and sees that divers are recovering his dead body. So I guess he just bled out into the lake, which is really fucked up.
And
And then they take him and they're doing a autopsy and they pull a tooth out.
Oh yeah.
also,
and that's
Well, yeah, I mean, we're gonna get to other
Well,
people,
hang
but I'm
on.
just like covering the story of Toby.
I know, but so they pull his body out, but we also then see his severed dick, and there's a crab just like eating it.
Oh, that's right. The
yeah,
crab. She thinks maybe she like kind of made it up or was dreaming
got
or
crabs.
something. But no, yeah, it was still there. So
It's
the
funny.
next kids who go to use that crusty sleeping bag are in for a rude awakening
Dude.
with a severed dick hanging out around there.
It's one thing to have a crusty sleeping bag. It's another thing to have a bloody wiener stump hollowed out by crabs sitting next to your lovemaking area.
They're just like
Gross.
wearing it as a shell.
Yeah. It's
It's a little dick hat.
you know, they have to change every so often. It's just wearing the little wiener head as a hat cap. There you go.
You know, before this scene too, to bring it back to Brad, because fuck Brad. There's another awkward scene between him and his stepsister where he's like, he basically says, "I know you're saving yourself for me."
Yeah.
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 Let's drop this charade.
Yeah.
I know this whole absentee thing is just because you want to fuck me. It's
Yeah.
like,
This whole absentee voting deal is because you want to fuck your stepbrother. That's what it's all really about. We know it. You
that's
know
what it's
it.
about. That's why
That's
you're
what it's
causing
all
such a
been about.
big stink.
Yeah.
That's why it's so stinky.
Like nothing I'd ever smelled before.
ever.
Yeah, that room for sure.
Dude, that kid's room is a rancid, wet pit.
He is sleeping in in dirty dick dude.
Does he have any scene that's not in that room? He does have one scene, I guess, where another kid who's interested in the girl comes by
the
to
door.
knocks on the door, and he punches him in the eye.
Beats his ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, don't ever come around here anymore.
Oh my God.
So this kid gets punched in the eye. We'll get to him. But yeah, from that point, I think the next step is she's like kind of in denial. She's in shock. She doesn't know what's going on or who to talk to about it because her mother during this has fallen over and like taken a turn for the worse, sitting there dying and screaming on the floor while Brad and his boo are butt fucking with the door open and her in clear sight. So really taking extra care to make sure that we find this man to be the most reprehensible human being that's ever walked this earth.
I think that's interesting too, because I feel like the whole movie, like the dad, who's the Brad's biological parent, like wants him out, but the mom's the one who's like, no, we got to be nice to him and keep him in and stuff. So I was like, the final fuck you.
Every time he tries to discipline him, they even show like when they're little kids, he tries to discipline him. The mom always like defends him. Yeah, so like, she's kind of trying to play the extra nice stepmom or whatever, and he just kind of like is doing it to appease her. But yeah,
fat lot of fucking good that did her.
Yeah,
he lets her die for starters. Yeah. And let's not forget that there's a fucking Rottweiler that he tortures that he calls mother. So he's not exactly fond of this woman.
He's a mother boy.
He's a mother boy.
The next sort of piece of shit dude that Dawn comes in contact with. So she does some quick Googling about vagina mutations and finds out the vagina dentata is like, folklore that exists everywhere and it's about vagina with teeth or whatever. So she goes to the gynecologist and to get herself checked out, see what's going on. And she'd never been before. And the guy starts off doing the regular spiel, I would assume. I don't know. I've never been to the gynecologist. And then he gets super creepy and weird about everything. And
it's disgusting.
It's not.
Yeah.
Fun.
At what point was the turn for you? Because I was watching it without having ever been in that situation, obviously.
I've only done it like twice. Yeah. The glove obviously is a no, but I put the thing in. And then after that, I think, they would always have a glove on. But after that, it was like, real bad, but
4 fingers deep.
Yeah.
And we know this specifically because he then has those 4 fingers excised from his hand by the vagina dentata. And they get spat out and plopped on the ground right in front of him.
Oh, he's real fucked out too. He's like, oh, this is probably gonna hurt a little bit. You need to just like
calm down.
Pain.
Yeah.
And it does hurt, but
not because they're doing what he's doing.
But he's like, you're tight, huh? And shit like
he's taking advantage of the situation. This girl comes in 100%. And it's clear that she like fakes her name because he's like, I can't read this form. And then he's like, oh, you've never been here before. And he kind of questions her. He's like, I'm assuming you want birth control or whatever. She's like, no, I just want to get checked out. She's obviously real timid. She doesn't know what the fuck's going on. She's really young. So he obviously like takes advantage of that situation.
He starts out using
right, Randy. It's all about the
because of the implication.
Thank you.
Yeah, he starts out with like what you could call like okay bedside manner, where it's like, oh, she's like, I think there's something weird going on, and he's like, or something. I think there's something strange inside there, and he's like,
I'm sure
there is something inside you that's
very normal.
It's called becoming a woman or some bullshit like that. And then he does like one side eye and it's just all done in your head. At least for me, I was like, oh shit.
Well, this was a good scene too, because they kind of set up how it actually works. Because at first he's like, no, everything looks good. Like it seems like at first he starts off legit because he does like a little checkout and everything. You're thinking like, oh my God, he's going to see the teeth and like this is how he's going to freak out. Right. But he doesn't. And like when she's trusting him and it's like a regular situation, everything's fine. It's not until he becomes a huge piece of shit and she feels threatened,
right,
and like in danger that the teeth like kind of kick in or whatever.
Right, and that kind of you're right, and that establishes that that's kind of like her rejection of the person is directly tied to whether or not the teeth are enabled, because we see later on, I guess, I don't know. Should we jump to that? Because we have this dude that gets his fingers bitten off and he doesn't tell anybody how it happened for obvious reasons, because he was molesting a young woman who was presumably underage, and doesn't really want to go to jail, presumably. So there's that guy mentioned earlier that knocked on the door and got his eye punched by Brad. This guy's been pursuing our lead actress for a while for the majority of the movie, but not, kind of off screen mostly. And she goes to him in her moment of crisis because her mom is in the hospital now. Yeah. She's fucking like pissed at Brad. Obviously she can't talk to her dad because he's dealing with some shit. Her dad has been attacked by Brad, I think, at this point, or just about, or it's just before. And so she goes to this guy's house. She goes to this guy's garage apartment, and he is like, "You're going to be okay. Tell me everything," all this shit. And then he's like, "Okay, well, you go shower or whatever. Here, take a pill. My mom always takes these to calm down." And wouldn't you know it, that pill is something akin to Spanish fly. And she becomes very agreeable indeed. And they end up having sex. And he claims he's the hero of myth that she mentioned, the myth that will break her curse for her and make her, not have this problem anymore. So they have sex and nothing happens except for a good time. She seems to be enjoying herself because she's drugged. And everything kind of goes off without a hitch. And I'm a little confused about that scene, about how much she was willing, because Beck, what do you think about that?
Well, I read an article before we recorded about, it was on Vox, and they were saying how, like, if this movie was made now, they would definitely, that would have been 100%. The producer said would have been, the dick would have been snapped off immediately because it was not consensual. But then it was because she wasn't having a bad time. They just said it was different then.
So it's like it's a acceptability issue. Yeah.
Okay. Because she looks like she's having a good time and nothing's happening. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I am cured." But as soon as he starts getting aggressive, then things turn south.
After that, they do start having intercourse again, and it seems as though she sort of has her wits about her the second time,
right?
And she's enjoying herself again until the dude gets a phone call in the middle of their sexual intercourse. Yeah. He picks up, and it's his like bro buddy, and he's just like talking all this shit about like, "Yeah, man, we're having sex right now. I told you we would," or whatever. And then hangs
hi.
up. Yeah, it's just being a huge piece of shit. And obviously, he made like a bet with his friends, and she realizes this. And then his dick gets bitten off. Game over. Game over,
this
man.
Guy, I do have kind of a problem with that scene in general, because it's like, I don't know. I just don't know why she would be suddenly willing to have sex with this dude. I mean, I guess she's like, even within like, if I'm taking it at its face value, is like, okay, well, the first time she wasn't super into it, but now she's coming to her wits about it, and maybe she's just so high off the idea that it's not a problem anymore that she's okay with it. But this is a girl who was like speaks at abstinence meetings, so I'm not
her mom.
sure.
The reason that she goes over to this guy's house is because her mom. It's when no, never mind. It's after she finds out that the kid is dead. So she finds out that the guy who like she bit his dick off first, he's like floating in the lake, and then she goes to this guy's house. So she's been attempted rape. And then the doctor tries to like molest her, and then his fingers get bitten off. And then all of a sudden she's like in the mood to bang it out after she's been like hard abstinence like her entire life.
I think maybe she's just trying to find a cure based on the whatever folklore that she read. It's talking about like trying to find someone to conquer the whatever. And maybe she thought,
but she doesn't propose that to him. That's not why she came to him, though.
Yeah, well,
he suggested that to her, like outright, and he's like, "Maybe I'm the hero," and she's like, "Oh, well, maybe," or whatever. And then allows it to happen, quote unquote, while being very, very drugged.
So she just went to this random dude for some.
Well, she said she didn't have anyone else to talk to. I guess because she I guess maybe she felt like she couldn't talk to her abstinence friends about it. She couldn't talk to the dead guy. Obviously, she couldn't talk to a doctor anymore, and her mom was too sick.
He had given her a ride earlier, so it showed that he had like been nice to her like a little bit, but because he's the guy that the brother attacked, so he asked her out like straight up. He was like, "Hey, I kind of like you. Would you like to go on a date?" So he played it straight. So she kind of turns to him in her.
Yeah, and she
kind
kinda
of
like-
desperation.
He gets kind of
Bang.
pissed at her, and that's what ends up with him like knocking at the door. I guess it's worth mentioning.
Yeah.
I don't know that he gets pissed off because she laughs at him when he says that.
Also, yeah, we need to talk about how his little situation.
Or said it was
He's
funny.
got this little box filled with like he's got this like
Weird.
little
He's got
finger
vibe.
rabbit vibrator.
Yeah, he's got a
vibes,
cock
like
ring
this-
viber. I
this
don't know.
black condom and just
Reminded me
all
very,
kinda-
very much of an old roommate.
Oh my!
Oh my god. Oh god.
Who may or may not have had a sex bingo, but that's
It's neither here nor there.
It's up for
that's neither
debate.
here nor there.
Up for debate. The black condoms are black licorice flavored. That's
Oh,
why they're
God.
black for sure.
Oh, that's
so
the
yeah.
worst.
so bad.
No one wants that.
So when
Nobody
his,
wants
no
that. Nobody.
when his cock gets bitten off, it is really extra funny in his case because he's kind of like a goofy character to begin with, but also he has to like he hits a little intercom button and talks to his mom. He's like, "Mom," and then later they make a whole scene, just a real quick like special scene of him on the operating table with the stump and then the wiener sitting next to him.
They're gonna
And
try
they're
to,
like,
sew
they're
it back on.
sewing it
Yeah.
back on or whatever. Which I
Why bother?
I don't know if that would work. Yeah, and one of them's like, just hardly seems worth it.
Yeah. He also
The only
Now,
reason
I
that scene exists.
Now I will say they had
And it was
set that up before. It's the same room where the gynecologist had been to get his finger sewn back on. So
Yeah,
we had
that's
been
true.
there before. So
They just had to get their money's worth.
He also
A little-
when he's
little dick
when
joke.
he's sitting on the bed after his penis has been freshly chomped off, and he like picks it up and kind of tries to like put it back in place for a second,
Ugh.
like that's gonna work. It's just like spewing blood everywhere. It's really
oh
gory.
my lord,
It's
it
pretty
is,
rough.
Yeah,
It's pretty
Aren't you
rough.
being a little stupid?
Yes.
no,
Yes, indeed.
it is really fucked up.
Yeah, so I think after that is when we come to the scene where Brad and his dad sort of come to blows.
Okay, yeah.
His dad is like sick of his shit, tries to kick him out, and Brad unleashes his fucking huge dog on his dad.
Yeah.
And then he goes into his spiel about like why he's so
Yeah.
bitter and
Yeah.
angry,
Yeah.
which is really weird because I feel like they didn't set this up properly. So it just felt, I feel like there's a lot of things like this, but he was like, I loved her and you made her my sister. Like so he's really bitter that his dad married this girl's mom and that they became a family or whatever. But when they're seen in the pool, she's
Like
legit
5.
like, 3-4 years
Yeah.
like, small.
Yeah.
And he's like maybe 5. So
Yeah,
it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, that's the thing is like I'm not sure. Like I don't know what's going on. Like I remember being a kid or whatever, and you like sexual things happen with kids. Like they have like thoughts they don't
Whoa,
understand and
Randy.
shit like that.
Mostly
I'm just
around
saying,
your
like-
butt, you know,
Yes. Thanks, Doc Steen.
Doc Steens.
Yeah. So I mean, I can see like things like that happening. Like to not the biting part, obviously, but like
Yeah.
molestation happens between kids. It happens. So I mean, it's not beyond the pale that would happen. But like for him to be traumatized by that and yet still in love with her years later, I don't buy that shit really. And for them to be so polar opposite, he's like, why would he be attracted to her now? Like, what would be attractive about her at that
Yeah.
point? Just, I don't know. Like,
Forbidden fruit, Randy.
I guess that's it. I mean, maybe that's it, but like he's just an unrepentant piece of shit. Like, and it's established that he's already kind of that when they're in that kiddie pool to begin with,
Yeah.
because he's already
Yeah.
telling his dad to fuck off and shit. And like, I don't know. To me, I feel like there's like a kind of a blank area in between there and his adult self that maybe could have helped understand that transition. But I
Well,
also don't know if it
yeah.
really matters because he's just like all they really need is a piece of shit with a cock to bite off.
That's
Yeah.
that's a real problem I had with this movie because literally every male is a huge piece of shit.
The dad is
like
fine.
to the instant.
I disagree.
Well, hang
The
on.
dad's good.
I was gonna
Yeah.
get there. I was gonna say except for the dad.
And her friend.
But
And-
they
yeah, no.
do not. I was hoping. So, like, when the dad steps up, it's like, oh, I'm going to kick you out or whatever. I was hoping that I was like, okay, here's the one person who's not like just completely a huge piece of shit. And they never have any kind of moment like the daughter and dad where it's kind of like, I don't know. It just feels like it shits on every male character so hard that there's not a redemption moment where it shows you that there's one that's actually, hey, you know, maybe cares about her and looks after her, but they never deliver on that. Like they show you like, okay, yeah, this guy's a decent dude. He's going to take care of his son. He's sad his wife is dead. He like really loved her and like cares about his daughter, but they never have any kind of like moment where it kind of redeems like males in her mind or in any kind of situation. I don't know. It just felt like a really missed opportunity, I guess, where everyone else is just the hugest piece of shit. I don't know. It like kind of bothered me.
Well,
I don't know, man.
Not going for the Hollywood ending, man. They're going for realism in this movie, I think.
Yeah.
True to life. You know?
Oh, yeah. I feel that.
Yeah. You feel that? Yeah.
But no, Beck, what were you going to say?
I don't know. I just think a lot of people are kind of shitty to women, and that kind of showed that. But
realism.
And I feel like, especially as like a young girl, you have a very perceived like everything's great, and then once you're, you know, want to be sexually active, you're like, oh, well, pretty much everyone's a piece of shit except for like Randy that you meet, you know, in college. But you know, my mom for a long time in high school was like, she asked me seriously, like, are you a lesbian? And I said, no, all the guys are literally just big pieces of shit. I don't want to date anyone. And then she went on a band field trip with me and she's like, yeah, you're right. These people are all dicks. So like, I think it's kind of valid. Maybe the gynecologist would have been like, maybe a good spot, but there's really shitty people there too. So I don't know. I think seeing a few shitty teenagers is pretty normal.
I think that they like laid a lot of groundwork to make that dad like a good dad, but also like you could argue that like early on they're praising her for being in this abstinence club or whatever and doing that sort of thing. And, you know, and I think there's like some pretty heavy critique on that whole world in this movie. It's kind of like that movie Saved kind of level shit where it's like, look how ridiculous some of this is. Some of this, like, you know, you have kids that want to avoid sex, and so they make avoiding sex and sex in general an entire part of their identity. Personality, like their identity revolves around that. And there's something interesting about that. And the dad is encouraging that because it's a dad who, you know, doesn't want his daughter sullied or whatever, which of course is absolutely right. But at the same time, it's like, you don't, you know, if a girl wants to like do her thing with somebody in a respectful way, that's not a bad thing in and of itself. It's just that there's so many pieces of shit that could take advantage of her. And they don't really establish what he's praising her for in that scene, is I guess what I'm getting at. So you could make that argument, but otherwise he's kind of a stellar dad. Like, and that's like arguable at best. So I kind of feel like they have to have that, but you know, the one guy who in your life who's a positive male figure is not necessarily going to be able to save you, especially if at that point you have killed at least one person.
I didn't even mean save. It's just like, even like when the mom dies and they're both like grieving, like, yeah, okay, they hug in the hospital, but I felt like that was the perfect moment to be like, we have seen just some of the worst people ever, and here are two people who are like grieving together, and he's like has shown like he stood up to the brother. So like they try to establish like, hey, he actually is like, okay, yeah, he could have been maybe like just medium at best, but they actually like feels like they go out of their way to show you like, no, this is actually a decent dude, and they just never have their moment together. I don't know.
That's
the like
thing.
Bothered me.
That's what I'm saying though, because his if his whole attitude is abstinence for my daughter because nobody will touch my daughter, and it's that sort of old school like no sex for girls, even though my son is running buck fucking wild all day long. Like, it's that attitude that maybe convinces her not to talk to him about her problem because her mom's in the hospital, but her dad, who is established as a good dude, is sitting right there. And if she can approach him about it, he can give her guidance, but she doesn't trust him to necessarily do that because maybe the problem with him is that because of this attitude of no sex for you, she's afraid of being admonished and afraid of having done wrong in the eyes of her father figure. And so that like eliminates him from a solution list for her. They don't really establish that.
You guys
there's a lot more like shame around that versus a boy, I think. Like, and that's, I think something this movie does really well is like, you know, it's usually shameful for like the girl, kind of like what you were saying. But this movie, I feel like there's more shame for like the guys to be jerks, obviously. But like, I feel like, there's a big shame of like wanting to be sexually active. You're not going to talk to your dad about it. I mean, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Even if your dad's a good dude, I mean, I wouldn't either. So, I mean, I guess there's something to be said. I don't know. Rob, I think you're getting at that, we're maybe reading too much into it, but I don't.
Yeah.
I think that's something you could read into it reasonably.
Yeah, definitely reading a lot into it. I kind of want to skip to the end real quick and start landing the plane. The big climax of the movie, so to speak, is our main character. She finds out that her shitty brother Brad just basically watched her mom die, didn't do anything to help, and she is super pissed about it. So she goes into revenge mode, and she decides to actually have sex with her brother with the express purpose to bite his penis off with her vagina. So she goes over there, and they have this really awkward conversation, as they always tend to do. And Brad's like, we always knew it would play out like this, didn't we? It was always going to be you and me, babe. And it's super weird. And then he tries to do it in the butt, and she's like, nah. And then they do it in the vagina. And of course, his penis gets bitten clean off. And there's this... There's a scene.
Tries to do it in the butt.
Yeah, there's a scene.
See, I had a moment there. There actually was a moment for me in this movie where I felt like a little bit of like dread and worry, because I was like, the way that we've seen this guy, he like doesn't. He does whatever he wants. He even like fucking attacks his own dad, his dad. So I was like, there is nothing to stop this man from just raping his sister in the butt. Like, which is because he's like shown like he only has anal sex because he was traumatized as a kid, does whatever the fuck he wants to do, attacks his own dad with a dog. So I was like, but I mean, that's not how it played out. And I'm glad it didn't. But I mean, just setting up that scene, all she has to do is say like, nope, you're not going to fuck me in the butt. And he's like, okay. And
I think that's established by virtue of the relationship that they have.
Yeah.
Like, because the relationship that he has with her is established to be that he's in love with her, unrequited,
apparently
forbidden fruit love. Yeah. So he's going to let, like, if she wants to, like, if she's walking in there and throwing herself at him, like, he's probably, like, the idea is probably that he's like, okay, well, this is what I've always wanted, so let's give it a try. And but there's that moment, and it's great that they show her, like, it flashes back to their childhood, that childhood incident from the beginning of the movie again. And it shows that, like, right after that happened, he looks over at her and she gives him a big smile. And the same thing is happening to him as he's like, beginning coitus with her in the present. And he's looking at her and it's ringing a bell basically. And he's suddenly like, oh no, is this a trap? And she smiles at him, and then the axe falls. So I thought that was great. I thought that was a nice little like way of resolving with him. And then she just kind of walks away, and he's just crying and saying, "Don't leave me," and shit like that. And it's very
well. No, then she drops his severed penis out of her vagina, and the dog gets out and does not attack her and eats the penis, the severed penis. Well, chews on it. He chews it up. Or
it's
whatever.
Got a Prince Albert. Eats the penis.
Oh yeah, of course it does. Of course it does.
Swallows it all.
He doesn't swallow. He like spits it back up, but it's all chewed up.
Spits up part of it. He mangles it and eats part of it.
You can't sew it back on.
Yeah. The very last bit of the movie, we see our main character. She's hitchhiking, gets picked up by an older man, and he pulls off at like a gas station or something like that, and starts like smacking his mouth at her.
Dirtiest old man.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember? Sorry, go ahead.
He like locks the doors, and obviously he's gonna try and put the moves on her, and she's like super. Yeah, she's super not about it, and then sort of smirks at the camera, and obviously she's gonna go with it just to punish him, teach him a lesson.
She's the punisher. She's the Eileen Wuornos with teeth in her vagina. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And that dude, he's fucking disgusting. And I don't know. I think that the idea that she goes on to be an avenger for women or whatever, that must be the empowering part, I would think. Is that kind of like what you gathered from it, or did you feel something different about it?
I guess I wouldn't say like empowered to go like, rip people's dicks off, but
I would.
just like taking a very suppressed, view of sex and being like, this isn't that bad. I can do what I want with it. And, I've got some power in situations too. I guess more
adding
of that.
Agency. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what this movie, I think, did pretty well. I don't know if it's reading too into it, but even like most horror movies have a lot of like boobs in it and stuff like that, and it gets very rated based off that, like, the Yabos and, Joe Bob does it and all that stuff. But this movie, like, there's surprisingly very little like boobs, and it's got a lot more dicks, which I just think is interesting. You don't see that very often. I mean, you rarely see a dick in movies, let alone a bunch of kids getting dressed in a locker room. That'd be a very easy scene just to not have dicks. But I don't know. It just kind of like turns it a little bit to me and kind of empowers on that side.
That scene
which
in
I think is
particular,
interesting.
that scene in particular to me is like, the locker room, like they're showing male dick, like they're showing dick in that locker room.
Like they show boobs.
They show boobs in like Porky's or whatever. Like it's highlighted and they're clearly like full grown adults, and shit like that.
See,
and
that was
like an excuse to show a wiener. It's an inversion. And this whole movie is kind of an inversion of the power dynamic surrounding sex. Yeah. I think that's pretty clearly indicated.
And that's pretty good too, because that scene didn't even like stick out in my mind. Like even, like, oh, they're like changed in the locker room and he just makes a phone call. It didn't even really like, I guess that's a good thing that the way that they shot it, like you said, it did. It was one of those things where like, I remember it happening, but it wasn't like, oh, here's a room full of dicks. It literally just was a scene. So that's interesting.
It's that scene. You guys have you seen Road Trip? You guys remember Road Trip where Tom Green's character is describing a scenario that happens in a women's locker room, and somebody interrupts him, is like, they don't just have women walking around with no shirts on. He's like, who's telling the story or whatever. That's exactly the situation here. Is like that would be the male version of the story that you see in so many other movies, horror movies specifically, over throughout the years, just as a way of squeezing in some yabos. Yeah. And this movie does the opposite of that. It has yabos in it, but only in relation to our lead character and her
feeling good
sexuality.
About herself too. Yeah. It's just like the objectifying thing, though. It kind of takes the object from the woman and puts it to the man, which isn't done very often. And it's like Justin said, it's not very, you wouldn't look at it and be like, oh, but then when you realize there's no boobs in the girls' locker room, when they flip over to that side, it's just kind of interesting to me. So
I think they laid pretty strong groundwork for this being at least a cathartic experience from a feminist perspective of just having a level of agency that is not really always afforded to women in cinema, like in horror movies specifically. And it's specifically surrounding the confusing time of acquainting yourself with your sexual body in high school. I don't know. Yeah, I think there's some really good nuggets that you can pull from this movie that speak directly at that stuff.
Mm-hmm. And how long it's like a taboo thing, as a kid and then as a teenager, and then it becomes not taboo. Like the purity shit, that's a lot for me, and I don't agree with it at all, to take that approach. But, I think if you didn't look at it as her being a purity person, but more of like just going through puberty, and that's like her beginning stages of, oh, I'm not supposed to do anything, and then slowly discovering like, wait, everyone else is doing it, I should be able to as well, and then finding out that it's like empowering. It's kind of interesting.
Right, so finding out that that's empowering in itself, but not it's not the scary thing that you're.
Yeah, it's not that dirty thing that you're not supposed to do. And
there's not a cult. The culture surrounding it being such a dirty thing is really rooted more in people's in uncomfortableness with young girls and young people doing those sort of things. It has more to do with adult figures than it does with the students.
But also maybe that's part of the problem. I was trying to think while you guys were talking about it. I was like listening, and there's like, I have other problems with this film, but one time they bring up the lore and they're like, oh, somebody's going to come in and they're like going to be okay. And that sets it up to the idea kind of where she explores with the gynecologist, like, oh, at some point she actually is going to be able to have sex. She's not like, scarred for life where she's never going to be able to have some kind of healthy, like sexual situation. And it is kind of a bummer that there was just no situation like that where literally everyone's trying to rape her, especially when they set up this lore, because it's like, oh, at least like somebody like can come along and she can have like a normal relationship. Because what you guys are talking about is absolutely right. It's like they set this whole thing up as like it's going to be a juxtaposition. It's like, oh no, this type of lifestyle isn't healthy either, where you just say no and it's a toxic type of thing. But there's really no redemption for that, because ultimately that actually kind of comes true, is because any type of sexual relationship that she's involved in is very toxic and violent and dangerous. And so it really just kind of like reaffirms that idea that she had in the beginning, that they try to like mock a little bit of like, nope, you should have just never had sex in the first place. Because look, everyone's just, as soon as you even give a little bit of hint of, oh, I'm attracted to you, people just try to rape you. So just don't even hang out with people or they're just going to rape you. I mean, that's what this movie reaffirms, that idea.
Well, I just think that, I don't know, if you're coming at it from more of a, empowerment thing, you don't want the knight in shining armor to show up and like cure her from her issue.
She doesn't need that.
Yeah.
What she needs is confidence. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, do you see what I'm saying of like the reaffirming that idea is like, as soon as they even play with it, like, oh, I can't hang out with you because I'm sexually attracted to you. Oh, it'll be okay. But nope, as soon as she does, oh, the guy tries to rape her. And there's no look at any type of idea of a healthy relationship in this thing. So it really just reaffirms all those toxic ideas that were set up in the beginning, that they act like they're mocking, like, oh, this is so ridiculous, but it's just reaffirmed through this movie.
I don't know though, because it's done in service to this basically being a superhero origin story. Like, I think if there's a Teeth 2 where you follow this girl to like the next town and follow her through her travels as this avenging spirit of wronged women, and then she happens upon a person that's actually a decent person and has some conflict around that's not similar to these things, then yeah, I think that makes sense. But I see it as kind of like an origin story where it's like, this is about her, having this problem, like being sort of poisoned against sex or whatever, to the point where she's so confused and so not in tune with what it is and how it goes, or how to protect herself or how to do it safely and those sort of things, that she ends up in these bad situations. But she has this amazing talent or gift or whatever to make those things stop and make them stop definitively. And by the end of the movie, it doesn't matter that she read this lore that says, you wait for a hero to slay the dragon or whatever the fuck it says. She doesn't need that. She doesn't want that, because she's found power in the thing that she has. And, there's something to be said about that. I don't think that it necessarily undercuts. I don't think it's undercutting a whole lot to say that, her being uninformed about sex at the beginning as a method of leading her down this path to being basically a runaway with this horrifying situation, this horrifying power. I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think it was. I don't know. I see what your point is though. Like, and you could certainly read it that way. To me, it's more like this is somebody that came from a situation of ignorance, a situation where she's encouraged to not think about those things and to not know more. And that's what led to those bad situations more than, and that's the other thing is like, by no fault of her own, this movie is written by people, sure, but these sort of things happen to people all the time. Like there's, like Becky was saying, there's pieces of shit all over. Yeah. And, like you might not have a good relationship with a good person, for years, and what do you do in that situation? You have to become strong or else not, and just sort of keel over. I think
Bob wants to say something.
Yeah, it's a bummer that what this movie equates to, quote, a knight in shining armor, or, the person that's going to come along and help this woman with her curse or ailment or whatever you want to call it. It basically equates to someone with whom she just wants to have some consensual sex with. Like, that's the, quote, knight in shining armor.
Yeah,
it's a low level,
a healthy relationship.
Yeah, that's sad.
It is a drag.
Really sad.
Yeah, I know.
Very much a drag.
And see, I guess the tip I would say for that is like, just from a movie making perspective, like if you're going to be a writer and you're like going to critique this movie, then I would be like, then just make her a naive teen, because that's a real situation too, where you don't get proper sexual education. You just don't know about your body, because the way they set this up is like, oh, there's going to be a juxtaposition, because they mock it. Like they do this whole scene where she's kind of confused and like these kids are chanting and they're like, look, this is is a cult. This is a weird thing that people do. And even the kid, like, I haven't jerked off since like Easter. Like they hammer it home as being this really weird, strange thing that they're able to mock. But then everything else that they do in this movie reaffirms those ideas. And I guess that's the problem I have with it. It's like, just make her naive then.
To your point, I like having that criticism, though, because they also have criticism of being,
I like it too, but they don't follow it up. They reaffirm it. That's the problem I have.
The way that they like needed. I think I have a fix real quick. My fix is that you spend more time with the mom and dad's relationship, which is clearly a good relationship. And it like the fact that they're encouraging her to take a different approach than they did, despite the fact that they have a strong relationship built on something real, like they could have spent more time with that. And maybe that would have answered the question that you're saying, where she has a model for a strong relationship, but she's actively being told to reject it by the people themselves, as well as the people that she surrounds herself with. That's true. Maybe that could have fixed the problem. Maybe there's a cut scene somewhere that would have done that. I don't know, but I see your point. Yeah, that's fair.
All right, let's rate this thing out of 5. Becky, will you do us the honors? Kick us off. How do you feel about Teeth?
Sure. I liked it. I thought it was a good movie. I'm still in the mindset that, it's a good empowerment movie, and it's got some interesting dynamic switches with like how men and boys are portrayed versus women. And I like how they take the whole like boys will be boys thing and like, they're just sexual because they're young boys, and be like, nope, you can't do that. Sorry. We're going to bite your dick off now. But I think that's, I think that's good. And I think a lot of times it's kind of the girls who are overly sexualized and overly, submissive and, just are kind of taken advantage of. And it's not the case. And she's taken advantage of and fights back in a pretty definitive way. I think the whole vagina dentata thing is a little ridiculous. Just like the whole folklore part of it. I think if they dove into that more, it'd be interesting, but they really didn't. And one thing we didn't mention is when the doctor, the OBGYN, like puts his hand inside of her and his fingers fall off, he immediately says, vagina dentata, it's real. Like he immediately knew what it was. I was like, you would never know what this is.
The fables are true.
Yeah, he like immediately knew. So that was a little ridiculous, but
vagina dentata.
Screaming vagina dentata.
I just imagine Hank Hill saying it too, which is cracking me up.
Vagina dentata.
It was getting me good when we were watching it together, but he would go ugh afterwards. But yeah, we haven't gotten to the bad part. We're still watching it, anyways. So yeah, it's good. I like it. But I'd probably give it like a 3.5 out of 5. It wouldn't be like a top star movie by any means, but I think it's got some good merit to it, and would be fun to watch, and I think it still holds up to today. And I think, if you're in a progressive school and had a bunch of teenagers, it'd be a really good film to watch with a bunch of kids and like really pick apart. If you're in some like, freshman horror class in college or something, I think you could find some really good, meaning to it, especially now with like Me Too and all that stuff happening a little, in the past now, but I think you could really get some good stuff out of this. So that's my say.
Sweet. Juice, out of 5. How you feel?
I was not. So what I thought, Brandy brought up Saved earlier, and actually that is, or somebody brought up Saved. Yeah. And, that's actually exactly what it made me think of. And when I was thinking about this movie, I was like, it was very cringy to me, and especially starting now the absent or like the like don't have sex party and like that squad, the church squad or whatever, like they were supposed to be cringe. But this movie started and it wasn't just that, like even like the music the brother was listening to and the way he acted and like his whole persona, it felt like this movie was late to the cringe party. Like this is a movie that felt like it should have come from 2002. Like that's legit what I was thinking. Like this dude rocking out like to the new metal, and he's just like fucking dirty as shit, and like his sideburns paired with the absentee squad and like how cringe that was. So this movie to me really got off on a really rough start with all of those things. I was like, man, this is difficult to watch. Now it did get better And once she started to get more empowered, I was feeling more comfortable about watching it. But the first third of this movie was a lot of that, even to the point of the rape. And it was the kid from that church group. And he kind of blames it on that. And again, like I said, where they just kind of reaffirm those ideas by the end of this movie, like really kind of bother me. I didn't like how and maybe it would have been better if the dad had more just maybe close, intimate moments with the mom, not necessarily with the daughter, something, because everyone is just the biggest piece of shit. Even if there was just a normal person, like just a dude walking around, but everybody literally tries to rape her. And it's just like, damn, like, I don't know. It just, and I'm not saying that that's not a reality, that like people don't just try to take advantage of you nonstop. But when you're writing a movie and you have these things like these like themes that you're like driving home, it's like you have to like wrap up some of them in some kind of way. Otherwise, like I said, you just reaffirm those toxic ideas that you're mocking at the beginning of this film. So that was problematic for me. It also was just a lot of cringe. It was like hard for me to watch a lot of the time. I do like how it kind of wrapped up though. I do like the scene where she's like feeling good about herself and is actually able to like start to grow as a person. And it sucks that you see that gets twisted, because then the kid just like shits all over that by like, oh, I made a bet about you or whatever. But I like that like moment, because then by the end of this movie, it makes you feel like understanding, like, yeah, okay. To me, like this ultimately comes down to like a rape revenge type of film. You know, we've seen these films in horror all the time, and I have no problem with like that. Like, I can't help but compare it to like Revenge, though, which is a far, far, far superior film to this. So I got to give this like a 2. I think I'll wrap it at a 2. Yeah.
Just for the record, Saved came out 3 years before this movie.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that far removed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Bob.
Gotcha.
Or do you want me to go?
No, you're going last now for always, because
you've cemented it, Randy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bob, how do you feel about Teeth?
This movie is okay. I remember it being like way more slapsticky, I guess, back in the day when I first saw it. It's like, I don't know, maybe I just got older. It's a huge bummer. I think more so than it is slapsticky. I mean, you know, there's obviously some gore and some funny like dick jokes or whatever, but it's ultimately pretty difficult to watch, because everybody's such a huge piece of shit. Everybody is, they all the vast majority of the characters feel sort of like caricatures, like they're not real people, at least like not real people that I know, I guess. And maybe people like this do exist, which is it just makes the movie even more depressing to consider that. To Justin's point about how this movie just further like solidifies how maybe, you know, young women should take a vow of celibacy. I don't know that I fully agree with that. Like I see where you're coming from with that point for sure, but also like at the end of the movie, she doesn't necessarily choose to be celibate. She chooses to kind of use her newfound power to correct the evils of men and to essentially stop them from doing whatever they have been doing for however long. You know, she's going to remove their manhood to, you know, help save other women from having to deal with their shit, essentially. She's choosing to do that through having sex with them instead of choosing celibacy again, or just, you know, hiding away from all of it. So there is a difference there. She's definitely empowered, and I think she's performing a service by hopefully saving some other people the grief of going through whatever she has had to go through, which I think that's pretty cool. I dig that idea. Movie's kind of goofy, though. Overall, I think the writing's a little loose. Brad is one of the biggest pieces of shit I have ever seen in any movie, and it's like he's such a piece of shit that I can't take his character seriously. It's too over the top, this fucking dude. I can't deal with it.
You're a monster.
Yes, a monster for sure. He's too fucking much. The movie's it's okay, man. I think I'm gonna give it a 2 as well. Like I just can't quite give it much better than that for some reason. It doesn't land with me. I think maybe because the characters are they feel so unrealistic to me, and hopefully that is the case for most people. But I'm gonna give it a 2. Yeah. Randy, what about you, man?
So yeah, I think that this movie is has a lot of interesting elements to it that I wasn't necessarily anticipating going into it. I think that Rob, that you made a really good counterpoint to Justin, I think, in the idea that, this movie at the end of the day doesn't promote celibacy at any level. It's not promoting that. It's promoting owning your sexuality, if anything. And I mean, to that extent, I think that's what's empowering about it, or that's what I would imagine is empowering about it. Is like that it's a metaphorical way of taking your sexuality into your own hands and not letting people play fast and loose with you, and with your innocence, really. So to that extent, like I kind of think those two things counterbalance each other. There are issues I have with this movie, that the characters don't have a ton of nuance for the most part. They are kind of caricature-y. Several of the acting performances are questionable, I would say. I would say that the doctor in particular struck me as being a little too Dr. Wareheim for me, a little too unreal, especially the screaming of vagina dentata. That's a great point of like insane over the topness, which I think is hilarious, but for the most of that scene, it wasn't hilarious. It was just over the top. You know what I mean? It was hard to watch. Or to Rob's point about it being funny, I don't know that I see this movie as all that funny, except for the fact that we like dick and poop jokes because we're children at heart. But like, if setting that aside, I don't think it has themes that are all that funny in and of themselves. They have some maybe funny character beats. But for the most part, it's about like the confusion and horror around your sexuality at that time and age, and specifically around how people were willing to abuse that in you to get what they want out of their sexuality. So I don't know. I'm a little, the things that I don't like about this movie are pretty much outweighed for the most part by the things I do like about this movie. I like thinking about it. I like having the conversation about it. And I think that overall, I think that the arc is earned, and that's what this movie is. It's an arc about this one character. To me, that's the most important thing, and she earns what she gets in the end, which is the ability to own herself. And I think that is the most important thing, and other things kind of fall to the wayside. So some of those performances not being good, or some of the characters being overt caricatures, doesn't do as much. There are things that, like I said, like Justin and I think agree on, and maybe they could have spent more time modeling a good relationship for her to then be shied away from. But I also don't see a problem with calling out the culture of abstinence and all those things. Abstinence first. Ignorance is bred by that sort of thing. In my opinion, you don't get the full story, and when it finally comes time for you to like give into your impulses or otherwise to make a decision about how to proceed, you don't have all the facts, and you're unable to be responsible about it for yourself, and know when to say no, and know when to walk away, and know all those things that are really important, obviously, because people will take advantage of you if you don't know those things. So all that to say, I'm going to give it a 3. I think that it's got a lot going for it, but it's a little blunt maybe in its execution. Yeah, overall I enjoyed it more than I didn't, so it's got to be higher than a 2.5. I'm going to give it a 3, and but it's far from a perfect movie. I think that it's got some, I don't know, some real cheese factor going on in some parts. You know what I mean? So 3 for me.
3 for Randy. That's going to put our aggregate at a 2.6. And let's go ahead and jump into our Rotten Tomatoes segments and see what the critics and users think about Teeth.
Certified fresh to death.
Certified. So we're going to do the Rotten Tomatoes segment. For anybody who's new to the podcast, what's going to happen here is I'm going to give these 3 people the opportunity to guess within the best of their abilities what percentage of positive reviews the critics have given this movie and the users have given this movie on RottenTomatoes.com. So between 0 and 100%, we'll start with Juice. Juice, what do you think that this movie got earned in terms of Rotten Tomatoes? What percentage positive from the critics? There are 70 total critics counted for the record.
I actually feel like the critics will lean towards positive, but I think there's a fine like cap on it. I don't think it's going to go too high. I'll say 60%.
60%. All right. Bob, what about you?
Oh, critics, I don't imagine it's going to be super high. I'll go 55.
55. Beck, what do you think?
I'll do 70 to be on the top there.
Ooh.
70%. And you will be on the top because you have taken the gold on this one. This is 80% certified fresh.
Wow, certified fresh.
That's right. And the critics' consensus is as follows. Smart, original, and horrifically funny. Teeth puts a fresh feminist spin on horror movie tropes.
Wow.
So I think each one of those things counteracts one of the point. Like Bob didn't think it was funny. They think it's like funny. I didn't think it was smart. They think it's smart. So it's pretty funny that they hit like all of those points.
I think originality, it's got that going for it.
Yeah.
'Cause it's a pretty blunt,
I'll give it that one.
blunt approach to the topic.
I'd say it's pretty sharp, Randy.
Oh, would you?
Oh.
So yes, that was our critics score. We're going to move on to the users. There are 34,897 user scores on this movie on Rotten Tomatoes. We'll start in reverse this time. Beck, what do you think those people gave this movie?
I'll stick with my 70.
70. All right.
Yeah.
Bob, what about you?
Man, I would think it'd be higher than the critics, but that seems insane. I'll just go 82.
82. Interesting. Juice, what are you feeling?
I'll take the bottom again. So I'll do 60.
60. All right. So let's see. I think, Juice, you're going to take this one because it is even lower. This is a 45 percentile.
Okay.
Not certified for anything positive.
We're a little higher than men of the people. Yeah. And ladies of the people. Yeah. That is a big gap.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's
something's off there. Yeah.
I'm going to read some negative reviews because they're typically funnier. I'm going to do it at random, so it may not be funny. One person wrote, "It's like a punch in the face."
Was that John Carpenter?
John Carpenter. I'm not sure I've ever seen rape, incest, or abuse dealt with so vapidly, wrote one person.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some, and here's what the users.
See, that's one thing I don't have a problem with.
The rape?
Well, no.
Guy's like got to get his nut.
No, the punishment of the rape and the punishment of the incest. Yeah. Well, I mean, but even like that dude saying like, oh, they just throw it around so bad. But like, I don't like people get raped, and like even I don't even think the idea of the guy taking advantage of the young girl was so out of place. I guess what kind of like made it fucked up for me is that he does start screaming like, vagina dentata or whatever. It's like, man, if you're gonna be serious about it, like, yeah, that's some fucked up shit. Punish that guy and like make him like stew in it. Like, fuck that guy.
Yeah, stew in it. Yeah,
stew in your shit.
The another one wrote, as amateurishly made as it is, teeth runs on a kind of angry distrust towards boys. Oh boy.
Yep.
This movie's just unfair to the rapists, wouldn't you say?
Oh my god.
Too harsh
on them rapists. Okay, here's a user negative review. It reads, once the doctor started screaming, quote, vagina dentata, the film becomes completely ludicrous, stupid, immature, and completely pointless. I disagree with that. I think that I don't think that added to its gravity, but I do think it added some hilarity in a movie that has some gravity. Yeah. So there you go. There's your Rotten Tomatoes review. Kind of a wide spread.
Beautiful.
Yeah, appropriate.
Spread wide.
Juice, you said there wasn't much in the way of trivia, right?
No, but Becky did bring up like a cool piece that was not included in the IMDb. You want to like say about the plans for the show?
Yeah, I read an article on Vice with the producer, and I guess in 2017 they were going to make a TV show remake of this. movie, but obviously it's 2020 and that hasn't happened yet. So I'm guessing that's a lost cause, but kind of cool to think about.
Production
Maybe how
I
that
don't
would
know
change.
how you do that.
on Netflix, because like they have with the Scream show being
True.
out and like a show called Slashers, like I could totally see them pulling off at least like a season.
But it's still, a lady's parts are off limits where slashing people is not in America. It's
True.
There's still a gradient of taboo that it doesn't quite hit. You could probably do it on like Netflix or something if you wanted to or whatever, but you couldn't do it on CBS.
No, yeah, for sure.
Nice after dark.
It's not going to be on after fucking Law and Order SVU. It's just that's a little too upbeat for this.
I don't know if she was a cop, then
if it became a police procedural,
maybe we could spin it.
No.
A cop on the edge with vagina teeth.
Then my parents would watch it.
But yeah, that is interesting. But Becky also has quite a list of horrifying ideas for new movies like this. Beck, do you have your little list going?
This is going to replace the trivia section. Here we go.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Becky's Horror Corner.
So a long time ago, I made like a list of, and it's kind of a revolving list of just things that, fucked up ideas that I think would make a good, slasher porn thing in the future.
Yeah, as we all do.
Let's see how many of these get stolen from people listening to our cast in like 5 years. How many
these
of
are trademarked. All these are trademarked.
Be prepared to be bedazzled.
This one's really bad. I don't know if I can even say it. Oh my God. I can't believe I wrote this.
Oh, you can't.
Speaking of growing, speaking of maturing.
One is a punch card for an abortion clinic. Buy 10 abortions, get one free. Double counts on miscarriage Mondays.
Oh my!
I can't believe I said that.
You're a monster.
One is freezing a hot dog and then eat after. Okay, wait. Oh, okay. It's a frozen hot dog and then you fuck with someone and then you eat it with egg white semen and egg yolk aborted fetus. I don't know. I must have been very drunk at that point. I don't know what that means.
Wow.
What?
I don't know. And then
I'd be stroking.
This is Christian gay porn with a long dick and a short dick rubbing together in a cross formation.
That's pretty good. You got to do that shit when they're like camping or something.
The power of Christ compels you.
And then another one is vomit as lube.
Okay.
This was fun. Thing. And then
what? That's a regular old Saturday night.
So there used to be like a torture method where they took like a long hollowed glass tube and put it down people's penises, and then they'd break it. So it'd be like the glass shards in your dick. But I had an idea of putting fire ants in that hollow part of the tube.
Oh no!
And then breaking it.
I also have one. Here it is.
Rigatoni.
There we go.
How did you make her say that way? That's impressive.
Oh
man, that's just how it goes. Rigatoni,
Okay.
All right.
But yeah, I think those are pretty much all the ones I have.
I think that's those. If those are the ones you're comfortable sharing, I shudder to think what else is on that list.
that'll do. Let's go hunting for cooters.
God, it's gonna be it's fish in a barrel this week.
Yeah, Heidelberg, we always say he's always hunting the cooters, dude. But I will say, what's up with the name Brad? We've had a Bradster cooter before.
That's true.
It's a cootery name.
Night of the Comet, maybe.
Where's Bradster from?
Night of the Comet or
Night of the Creeps?
Yeah, Night of the Creeps.
Brad.
But let's break down the cooter profile first. What is a cooter? Straight chillin' exclusive. It is a character type, and it consists of these 5 points that they can hit. You have to hit 3 of the 5 to be considered a cooter, but we are not satisfied with that. We want the cooter of the week. So the 5 points are sexual deviance, manipulation, smug arrogance, overall look and attire, and overall patheticness. So do we want to start at the top or do we want to work our way there?
Let's go from the bottom to the top, baby, because the top is such a combo.
So,
This one's so easy.
take your pick. Who do you think is the least amount of Cooter man in this?
Who still qualifies?
Yeah,
Probably
who's
her
the least.
Probably her
Toads?
abstent friend.
Yeah.
That guy. I don't even know if he has a
friend.
name. Yeah. And the dad.
Are you talking about Oh, well, no, we're talking about anybody who still ranks as a Cooter.
Yeah,
never mind.
who's the lowest ranked Cooter?
I think it's got to be Toby, right?
Toby.
Is that the first one or the second
That's
one?
the first one.
The first one, the abstinent kid. So sexual deviance is just going to be a prominent theme throughout this Cooter hunt.
Yeah, I think that's a given for anybody we're going to bring up this episode.
So sexual deviancy, he tries to rape her after he kind of like knocks her head back. So sexual deviancy for sure. What else does he have? Has he got a goofy look to him? He's
about on par for that era.
Yeah.
And Screamo hair.
Pathetic. I'd give him pathetic.
He didn't jerk off since Easter.
Yeah, exactly. His whole blaming it on not jerking off. And also just if you've had sex, so he's not a virgin. If you've had sex and then you go back to the abstinence crowd, I'm giving you pathetic on that one. I'm sorry.
You're regressing.
You're not even a virgin anymore. Don't pretend to be. So I'm giving you pathetic on that. So he's got sexual deviancy. He's got patheticness. What else is he going to hit? Any of the other two?
Do we think he's manipulative? Do we think that he's manipulating her, or do we think that he just gives in a moment of panicked need?
It seems like he gives in.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of both. I think he gives in, but he also, I feel like the beginning he was like being really good. And then,
I think he was. I think he was genuinely trying.
I think so.
Yeah, and then
just genuinely failed.
Yeah, for sure.
But didn't know when to stop, and that's totally his fault. So.
Oh yeah. Well,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think
smug arrogance.
I don't think that. At no point he seems too pathetic for that.
So he's big on sexual deviancy and patheticness, but so he's not ranking high enough.
Yeah. I don't know if he. I mean, I think rape is an insta-Cooter. I think that pretty much is. I'll live by that rule. Personally, so I think he still qualifies as a Cooter, even though his Cooterdom is limited to mainly those two big points, and they are heavy points.
Yeah.
The fact that he like hurts her and then asks her if she's okay for like a second before continuing.
Yeah, that's we can vote him in. Book him. We booking him.
Book
his ass.
Booking him. Booked.
All right, so who's next? We got.
Let's see. Do we want to go to boyfriend number 2? Or Bob, we're starting to bring you back. We wanted to start from the bottom and work our way up.
Gotcha.
So
boyfriend 2.
Let's just go with him.
Yeah,
boyfriend number 2.
Yeah. First of all, you got your can't hardly wait or whatever your 10 things I hate about you thing where he's taking a bet to lay this girl, which is automatically Cooter behavior.
Taking a phone
and manipulation.
Call, coitus.
Manipulation, absolutely.
He drugs
because
her.
he also drugs her.
He drugs her. He has a bet to lay her without having any desire beyond that, really.
He uses like toys to make her feel like good. So that's another manipulation thing. Like, oh, it's actually okay while she's drugged. Like, it's
do you think he like drugged her on purpose?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
You do? Okay. I wasn't 100% sure. I thought he probably did, but I was like, maybe he really was trying to be nice and then really failed. But
if he knew that that's what that pill did and that's really what his mom took, then he would know that it's not okay to then entice a woman throw your dick into somebody.
I'll even give one this. Now this might be reading in a little bit, but I am gonna throw smug arrogance into there too, because I think he actually did it because she laughed at him. So I think originally he was probably interested in her, but I think because she like laughed at him and he took it wrong, I think it was like part of like a arrogant pride thing.
Maybe it's a way to get it back at Brad. Maybe you could say that too. It's not really supported necessarily, but
maybe,
or a way to get it back. Yeah, but he his smug arrogance to me is proof positive by the fact that he called his boy mid-coitus or answered the phone and bragged and was like, we could have had a bet, no big deal. As if anybody on earth is going to respond to that with like, oh, that's funny. Like, what do you think is going to happen now?
Yeah. No, that was totally bad.
Yes.
And then
his look is about normal. Yeah, book his ass. Go to doctor. Let's go to.
Oh yeah, Doc Steen.
Doc Steen.
I mean,
Dr. One Thumb.
A, he's an adult. B, he's a doctor. C,
manipulating.
he's probably done to other girls too.
The manipulation.
Yeah, manipulation is big.
So big on his
deviancy,
part.
of course.
Yeah.
Yes. Smugness. Yes, smug because he knows exactly what he's doing.
Oh,
yeah.
He knows exactly. Yeah, exactly.
God damn it.
He's
And
abusing
I think
his
he's
power.
done it to other people too, which is probably the worst part.
Yeah.
And he's pathetic. I feel like when he's getting his fingers like sewn back on.
Vagina dentata.
The whole act is pathetic. This is a teenage girl. You're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Book him. He's booked.
Yeah, you deal with vaginas all day long. Is this really something you can't turn off for a second? Jesus Christ. On a child.
Jesus.
Fucking prick.
It makes it, God, it fucking pisses me off. It makes me think of that docuseries I watched about the gymnastics motherfucker.
God,
that guy.
Gymnastics. Is that what it's called?
He's awful.
Yeah, gymnastics motherfucker.
Gymnastics motherfucker.
Anyways.
So we got
He
one
real
left.
bad.
Right? Just one left.
And now let's go to Brad, number one. Dude, Brad's quite high.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All the time.
He's in the upper echelon, I believe.
He hits the bingo card all points.
He's got a bingo. Sexual deviancy, of course, is high.
Through the roof.
We've been saying it's, but even the added like piercing, the anal sex exclusive attire, huge. Those tattoos, they're terrible. Those sideburns, they're wretched.
The dick ring. The dick ring.
The lip, whatever. I mean, no shame to anybody else who has it. I don't have, do your thing. But in his case, it just adds to this air of somebody who needs to feel edgy. And that's so sad and pathetic. And the pathetic just does not end there because he names his dog Mother. Oh, you're such an edgy motherfucker. Fuck you. He's fucking people in the ass. He's feeding his girlfriend dog treats.
Yeah.
Eat the wettest, fattest part of my asshole.
So smug arrogance.
And I've seen it.
He,
you don't want to
he
get
attacks his dad. The wettest part. He attacks. Damn. Bob loves poop, by the way.
I just think Randy is hilarious. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, that was a good joke, Randy. I'm sorry.
Thanks, guys.
So he's got
heel support,
manipulation, sexual deviance. He's definitely got the attire. Smug arrogance. I think so.
Oh my God.
Think so.
Oh my God.
100%.
Oh yeah, he attacks his dad and like calls his parents cunts when he's like living in their house. And like,
he's only in the house because he wants to fuck his sister,
which is pathetic. That's a bingo. That's a bingo.
And especially at the end when he gets his dick kind of chopped off, he's like, "Oh, don't!"
He pulls a Jeremiah Sand. He's like,
he
full on taking it like a fucking asshole.
Oh,
and then
I'm not saying I would react very well in that situation, but I would never find myself in that situation because I'm not a piece of shit.
He manipulates his girlfriend.
Yeah,
absolutely.
God damn.
She sticks around too long. She's definitely been abused. That's
Oof.
Warning signs 101.
Man, he is high. He is high, and then he's upper tiers.
He's ranking up there. He's
top,
maybe
what
like
Heidelberg wants. That's what he wants.
Top
you know?
three.
Yeah, he's top three. He might be. I could see him being Jeremiah Sand's right hand man.
He's definitely top five for
top
sure.
Top 5 for sure.
Like,
yeah, maybe
he's like Lieutenant Cooter.
He's top 5.
Lieutenant Brigadier General Cooter.
Lieutenant Dan Cooter.
Yeah. Heidelberg just wants his name in the book of Cooter as many times as possible.
I mean, look, man, I support it. It's a righteous act.
It is, caught by Heidelberg is what he wants under the booking.
He's going to be the Van Helsing of Cooters. He's going for it.
He's a Cooter sheriff. He's out there hunting them down. Yep, good to go.
Gotta find him Cooters.
Deputy Berg.
Deputy Berg.
Get in there, Deputy Bird.
So yeah, I think we got our Cooter of the week. I don't see any way that we could avoid that. It was pretty clear from scene one.
He's taking that. He's taking the Cooter case.
Deputized. All right. I think we caught him. We caught him all.
We caught him. We got him.
We got him. One more segment to get into. Oh, goddamn, 2 more segments. I always try to skip this for some reason. It's
the social hour. Shake it out. Shake it out.
Shake that man butt out.
Front.
We got to talk about what we've been watching.
Hey gang, what you been watching?
Randy, what you been watching?
Well, let's see. I've been playing through Borderlands 2, which I mentioned last week, and I recall. I've been kind of not breezing through it, but I've been making good progress with it.
Yeah,
I
you
think
haven't
I've got
posted
about
gaming lately, Randy. I was worried about you.
Well, no, I just want to work through it. You know, there's no.
How's it going?
It's good. I'm about 3/4 done. I want to say,
Okay.
At least with the main story. I have done quite a few side missions because I like to grind it out a little bit with RPG level stuff.
Grind it.
So.
Something you got to level up, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, yeah, because like I do not want to end up in a like no-win scenario like I was dealing with Borderlands 1.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've been doing that. I am almost done also with The Last Dance on everyone's recommendation in the world. I decided to watch that.
Oh, yeah.
Despite having not a single sports-loving bone in my body. That's a hell of a fucking documentary, then. The fact that they go in such granular detail about basically every game almost, or every series anyway, and go into such detail about it is so interesting because you get to think about the mindsets of everybody involved on such a specific level. And that's where the drama comes from because, you know, it's more Jordan than anything else, which I didn't realize was going to be the case. I thought it would be about the team as a whole, and it is kind of, but he is certainly the central figure in every way. And it's all about his mindset, what's motivating him every episode, and just the unlikely shit that he's capable of doing. That's, you know, unmatchable. And
isn't it so funny to see him so young though when he first starts out? Because 90s Jordan, you know, like Space Jam is like what's ingrained in my mind where he kind of beefs up and
it's weird to see him older. Like, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he is getting old.
And it's not like he's, you know, in great shape and all that shit. It's not like he's, you know, a little old man in his, you know, his wheelchair or something. Yeah. He's like a you know, he's pretty good health and everything. It seems like, but you can tell even somebody at like such good health, you can still tell that the age has laid on him, just like everybody gets.
It gets everyone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Never get out of life alive, man. So yeah, I've got one more episode of that to go. I'm on the last ep. I wanted to finish before the recording this, but I didn't.
They all die. Spoiler.
Yeah.
What?
Yep. Kim Jong-un steps in. Let's see. And then last, just today, Becky and I watched, I don't know if you were going to bring this up or not, Becky.
Go ahead.
A show called Unwell. Have you guys heard of this is it a Netflix show, Beck?
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Becky had it on. It's a documentary series, and each episode deals with a certain maybe questionable or pseudoscience-y medical thing. And the one episode that we have watched is specifically about essential oils and the multi-level marketing scheme surrounding that.
Holy shit.
Holy shit. I was so fired up angry watching some of this shit. I was screaming at the television at some of these assholes. It's, you know, not everybody in it is an asshole. They do a pretty good job of showing like, yeah, some people just use it because the aromatherapist will, you know, make you feel better generally by the same way a Glade plug-in smells nicer than your smelly bathroom. Like, it's, you know, it's the same sort of process, except, you know, more granular and more focused for people with specific issues. Meanwhile, though, they've got these multi-level marketing schemes. They've got these fucking influencer pricks that are just, oh man, it's like Schadenfreude Central. It's just so angry and so entertained by my anger. It's great. I want to watch more of that show. I want to see more of it. That was the first one I saw. What other ones are there, Beck?
There's one about breast milk for athletes. There's one about people drink titty milk to get strong. There's one about intermittent fasting.
On the market?
Yeah. A lot of women overproduce and they'll sell that shit. You get a lot of money for it.
There's the bee stings.
Money and a lot of
the
weird
bee
ways.
stings. Yeah, there's one about getting stung by bees being a therapy. There's one about like, I don't know how to say it, tantra sex or something.
Tantric sex.
Tantric sex. There we go. Yeah. So
That's the good
Speaking
just
of
stuff like
stings,
that. Oof. But yeah, it's all just like kind of pseudo-y science stuff, and they kind of debunk it. But they also say like, what could be used for. It's kind of
they
interesting.
don't even necessarily debunk it. They just kind of show how
Different sides,
dishonest, at least in this episode, just showing how dishonest the people were that were, the guy was like on stage saying like, or like, he was like, I've seen the reports. Somebody has cancer. They take a bunch of essential oils, which you're not supposed to drink, by the way, drink a bunch of essential oils. And now he doesn't have cancer. It happens. And it's just like, and of course, whenever they're whenever anybody presses them, they send out a PR notice. It's like, we do not suggest essential oils in place of medical procedure. Please see your doctor before doing like all this shit. It's like, you are fucking lying, you grifting pieces of shit.
Yeah.
So that's it.
No, it's pretty obvious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. Becky, you been watching anything else?
So I've been watching a show on Netflix called Lenox Hills. It's a documentary about a hospital in New York City, and it just kind of goes through some of the residents, what they're doing.
So it is a documentary. It's not like a drama.
Yeah, it's a documentary.
Okay.
But it's really interesting. So like one of the doctors, she's pregnant, and her unborn baby has like medical issues. So it's kind of interesting, to see that. And then one of the head neurologist doctors of the department ends up getting like brain cancer that spreads to his neck. So it's all a documentary that this wasn't part of it, and it just kind of happened while they were there. So it's just kind of interesting. It's just some good, drama of medical stuff. And then I guess I haven't got to it yet, but they're going to have a pandemic episode.
Oh boy.
I guess they came back for the pandemic to see how they're reacting. Apparently they got hit super duper hard. So that's been kind of good. And I also started a show on Netflix called In the Dark. I don't know if you all have heard of that. It's about a blind woman who was mugged in an alleyway, and this kid saves her, this young black kid, and then she befriends him, and then the kid goes missing, and she kind of gets wrapped up in like, the gang he was involved in, and trying to figure out what happened to him, because she felt him dead with her hand. She could like feel the dead body, but they never found a body. So the whole series is about like trying to figure out what happened to this kid. So it seems pretty good so far. I'm enjoying it.
That's a drama, right? Or is it?
It's a drama. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's not real. Oh my God. That'd be insane.
That would be insane.
It's still pretty good. I'm enjoying it too. I'm a little hesitant. It might have some like white saviorism tones to it. This like white woman coming in to save the black kid from the ghetto, but we'll see. So I'm giving it hope.
Rigatoni.
Exactly.
That's my
Dr. Steen's coming in.
That's my check your white privilege sound effect.
Rigatoni.
Rigatoni. But anyways, that's what I've been watching. And I've been rewatching Scrubs when I'm working at home. So that's been kind of fun.
We don't want no scrubs. Juice, what you been
Scrubs,
watching?
that was before your time, Bex.
And yours, Juice.
And mine.
Young man.
So telling. So telling.
Yes. What have I been watching? I started watching a Netflix deal about the most wanted men in the world. I think there's 5
I wanted to watch that.
episodes. Yeah, I started it, haven't finished it. It's okay, except that it's just like the world's a really fucked up place, and money manipulates everyone, and that's unfortunate, and kind of a bummer. Like there's a one dude in Mexico, and it's interesting because it always has that kind of spin of like the Robin Hood deal of like you go into these poor neighborhoods as long as you like treat the people well and pay them good money, you look like a savior. And in some ways you can be, like you go in and you save people who are sick or dying, and you take care of them, you give them good food, whereas like the government or they can't provide for themselves. Then in some way, like you are a savior. You're building hospitals, building schools, building churches, building soccer fields and shit. It's like, okay, then in some way you are, but then you're having like whole families murdered because they said your name or what, it's wild, it's dark, it's really fucked up. And it's like, that's, you can understand when people are in that position, like, like when your whole town is just financed by this drug lord and like they provide you with everything that your government can't, then it's like, well, I mean, okay, like, what are you gonna do?
Revolutions have been started on less.
Yeah, it's really sad and unfortunate that and then you think about like what fuels that. Oh, like people just want to do drugs, but it's illegal. So like there's an illegal black market trade. It's like, well, that's wild. That's fucked up. Can you imagine if like you think about any other kind of recreation? It's like what if fucking Nintendo was out there, got the Yakuza running shit, and I mean it's just fucking wild. It's like make that shit legal so people don't have to worry about that shit anymore. It's bonkers. So I've been watching that, really depressing as it tends to get. I was up at like 3 a.m. last night texting everyone, even though I had a cast at like 8 a.m. this morning. And I was just watching like these random music videos that I kind of got sucked into. One of them was by this guy named Teflon Sega. And
you make pots and pans?
Yeah, he not a great name, but he has this song called Beretta Lake, and I found it because it features an artist I like, St. John, and actually it was really cool kind of heading into the spooky season because I remember a couple years ago I got into this kind of like synthwave trend where they make a lot of kind of like horror based music videos, and it kind of fits really well. And this kind of fit in the vein of that. And it's got this cool music video that's more shaped like a video game, but it has a lot of horror elements in it. And it was just a really cool watch. And then I found out that the guy actually has a lot of really cool visually like stimulating music videos that look like fantastic. They're all animated as far as I can tell. So, it was pretty interesting. So I would recommend that Beretta Lake by Teflon Sega. Not a good name, a guy, but he's making it work for himself. So, and I think that's about all I've been watching. Yeah, Bob, what have you been watching, good sir?
Oh, let me tell you. Really just one thing. I've been watching that new Are You Afraid of the Dark? It came out last year, so it's not like brand new. It's from 2019. And it's
that just completely low-key drop? I didn't even know it happened. For real.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised.
It's different than the old show. It's a 3-episode run, and each episode is like 45 minutes or something like that. And it's all one story, one cohesive story.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different. Pretty much there's like a new girl that moves to town, and she's like a high school student, and there's the Midnight Society, and they sort of find out she's into spooky things, and they vet her and then invite her to join their little club. And she tells a story about this like carnival of doom that comes to town, and it's run by this dude named Mr. Top Hat, and he's super evil and abducts kids and all this stuff. And then the next day they get a flyer in class about the carnival of doom coming to town, and her friends are like, whoa, what the fuck's up with this? And she's like, I don't know, man, I made it up, I swear. And it's crazy that everything in her story starts coming true. And you're like, how is this even possible? And you gotta watch the show to find out. You gotta watch.
All right.
Dun, dun, dun.
She's a witch, burn her. She's a witch.
We gotta burn her. Get her, book her. It's obviously made for kids, but I enjoyed it. Some light, spooky fare.
Well, that's just swell.
Check it out. That's other than Joe Bob, that's really all I watched this week. That's about it.
All right. Light week.
Yeah, light week for me. Let's go ahead and get into our Hotline Scream segment. If you are listening and would like to call in and leave us a voicemail, you can reach us at 904-638-3231. Last week, we posed a question. We're asking people to weigh in about their favorite horror movie scores, horror movie soundtracks. Pitch them our way. We got a few responses to that, as well as to some other questions.
We might have to rapid fire this week. I think we got quite a handful.
We got like 8 voicemails. We got a shitload of voicemails.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Here we go. Oh, boy.
First two, I believe, are from Wes. Let's hear what Wes has to say.
Hey guys, it's Wes. And I'm actually awake at a healthy time right now. So to answer your guys' question about movie scores, I would have to say the first Hellraiser, and I can't remember the other one I was doing. I'm not even tired, and I can't think about it. Oh crap. Okay, I'll probably call back, possibly, if I remember. But the first Hellraiser is really solid.
He's not wrong.
True.
Although the speech to text is wrong. It says, I'll probably call back possibly if I remember, but first Hellraiser is really soft. That shit's soft.
That's a soft-ass movie. He does call back.
Okay.
Yeah, he does.
Spoiler warning.
Yeah, let's hear what he says.
Let's hear what he says.
Okay, I remembered it. It was Sinister. That's also a really good score.
That's it. Sinister.
Awesome.
For
Sinister
whatever
and
reason,
Hellraiser.
that just reminded me of the baller ass Saw song. Ba 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 ba
Yeah.
ba 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 ba. I don't know why. So that's my vote.
Da-da-dun,
That's pretty good.
da-da-dun, da-da-da-da-dun, da-da-da-dun, da-da-da.
That's pretty good.
When it
Yeah, that's
fucking
a fun
kicks
classic.
in.
All right. Next, let's check this one out. I don't know who this is. Do you know who this next one is, Bob?
The old Bish.
This is the old Bish.
Old Bish.
Oh my! Let's hear what Kathy from HR has to say.
What up, my dudes? Voice from beyond the grave. It's the old Bish calling in to weigh on soundtracks for horror films, pieces of music, what have you. I had to say, I had to call in to give my 2 cents, and I'm going to make this a little short. It's got to be the soundtrack / orchestral score done by the wonderful Christopher Young for Hellbound Hellraiser 2. How can it be anything else but that? The deliciously demonic waltzes of Christopher Young will always echo in my brain, and I've always wanted it as like intro music whenever I come in, that first track off the soundtrack. Hellbound, and I think it's Second Sight Seance is the side track that goes along with it. Anyway, stay crispy, my dudes. Love you guys. Take care.
Hellbound.
Right, Hellraiser's getting quite a bit of love today.
There's a theme.
I need to watch some more Hellraiser here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a little bit going here.
What is it?
We've only covered the first one.
Old Bish bringing the flowery language too. That boy can spin a yarn. I'll tell you.
When I think of Hellraiser, the fucking Hellraiser song that Motorhead wrote, it comes to mind. I can't hear the score, but I can definitely hear the Motorhead song. I can't.
Well, that's what's important.
Yes.
All right.
For sure.
Shall we move on to Matt?
Let's do it. What is Matt talking about?
Hey guys, this is Matt from Jacksonville. Y'all are watching Teeth this week. I remember it being a pretty good movie. I got it for my dad for Father's Day, like in 2011 or 2012 or something like that. He was very confused, but I thought it was hilarious. Anyway, ever since y'all brought up that that's what y'all would be talking about, I've been thinking how cool it'd be if they did a sequel. They could do like some young guy with like Wolverine claws that came out his dick. But then like I didn't know who he'd be killing. So I was like thinking about maybe like making him like an altar boy or something. I don't know. This is what's rolling around in my head. Tell me what you think. Bye.
An altar boy revenge from porn.
Wolverine claws coming out of his dick.
Dude, that's not a bad idea.
You got the one coming out? I hope so.
My dad was Ultra Boy of the Year back in his day, so we could ask him about
the year.
You don't get to the top by playing it safe.
By starting from the bottom.
You want to be famous, don't you?
Oh my god! I love that Matt gave this movie to his fucking dad for Father's Day.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
What?
I hope his dad was like really confused about the whole thing.
Hey, Dad.
I'm sure he was.
Oh my god! Hey, Dad, check out this movie. It's got a vagina with teeth in it and a bunch of wieners getting picked off one at a time.
You better not marry any
I
women
can just
with
imagine
hot-ass
Rob
daughters.
giving this to his dad.
I think Rob's dad would think that was hilarious.
My dad would never watch it ever.
No, I think that he would think the idea is funny though. Like that,
he would.
You would give it to him.
You got to change the slipcover to a cowboy. And
You're right. You got to put John Wayne on the front, and then my dad might watch it.
Watch this, Dad.
What kind of Western is this? All right, let's move on here. We got somebody name a Kelvin.
Kelvin.
Is that right?
Kelvin.
All right, let's hear what Kelvin has to say.
Hey guys, it's Kelvin, your straight chilling mailman. I'm just kidding. But to answer your question of the week, which soundtrack or score from a horror movie I consider pretty iconic that's not considered amongst the top ones are most Dario Argento scores in his films. Especially Profondo Rosso, Deep Red. The score in that movie is like incredible. And of course, the original Suspiria's soundtrack is phenomenal. And basically by Goblin, they kill it. And lastly, I'd like to say that my favorite thing since How to Save a Life is the bump for Rigatoni. All right, guys, keep chilling.
Rigatoni.
Rigatoni.
Rigatoni's just taking the world by storm.
Dude, somehow it is. People love the rigatoni. I don't.
That's a whole thing beyond your all's podcast too. It's a big deal. Yeah.
I did not know that. Legitimately,
I didn't either. Yeah.
Dario Argento, like Goblin, that sort of thing. That's a really good pull for soundtracks for sure. That's not where my mind immediately goes when I think about horror film scores, but it really ought to be because Goblin is like prolific at that sort of shit.
Good
fucking
shit.
song is popping in my head right now.
Yeah. There's
shit's wild.
Another one we didn't mention, which I feel like we should have, is the soundtrack to Return of the Living Dead. Man, it's just littered with bangers.
Yeah, that's true.
And also like Friday the 13th Part 3 with like the disco theme. Classic. I love it.
I'd have to rewatch that. I don't remember that. Oh wait, no, man. Yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I remember it now.
Solid.
All right, should we hear what Michael has to say?
Michael, yeah.
All right, here we go.
Hey, what's up, guys? Michael from Horror Apocalypse calling in again. For two reasons. One, I wanted to answer Randy's question about the musical score, but also I wanted to defend myself from the last phone call. One, I was Bluetooth hands-free while driving, but I'm on my way to work now. I did actually stop and pull over for you, so hopefully this makes it a little clearer for you, not so much background noise. And second, I think Rob said it best when he said that, yes, I watch Halloween movies all year round, so I really don't have a specific Halloween set of movies I go to, but I do have, Christmas horror and, other holiday horror that I go to. And for Randy's question about my music preference, or my hidden gem I totally associate with the movie and so on. Halloween. I'm sorry, not Halloween, Hellraiser. Hellraiser is one of the only movies that I absolutely love almost perfectly, and I have the album, the DVD, the Blu-rays, the figures, the statues. I mean, anything you can think of. I am a huge Hellpriest and Hellraiser fan. So that would be my choice. That music when Hellpriest comes through, and it's just so iconic. You can hear it, close your eyes and see him, and just hear the "your suffering will be legendary even in hell." It's so perfect. I love it. So that's my defense. That's my pick, and I can't wait for the next one, guys. Have a great day.
Man, Hellraiser just sweeping our
bumping.
Yeah, no shit.
I don't know if I've seen it, but now I feel like I need to.
You do need to. That's a fact.
I also I wanted to thank Michael for pulling off the side of the road and calling us this week because the audio sounds way better. And apparently, if you're going to call in the future, you're just gonna be late for work, man. So prepare for that.
We accept no responsibility for that.
Right. If you get fired, that's on you.
Do you think Becky would like the general premise of Hellraiser? That's for sure.
Yeah.
There is a lot of torture going on.
I feel like it's about some like Green Goblin. And I don't.
It's
think
about
that's
a Green
correct.
Goblin.
No,
that's exactly right.
It's
about Green Goblin, Norman Osborn. And
It's about a realm of like sexual torture pleasure.
Yeah.
Well,
It's about
you should watch it,
S&M.
Randy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get some ideas.
I'll break out my leather daddy shirt.
Your leather
Your assless
daddy
chap.
shit.
Also want to point out the speech to text again got me good. It's at one point during Michael's call, it writes, "So I really don't have a specific Halloween set of movies I go to, but I do have, Christmas where, there are other holiday whores that I go to."
Those holiday whores.
Sometimes you really need a good holiday whore. The Arbor Day whore. Ooh, she knows what's up.
Harbor Day whore. Oh my god.
Harbor Day.
She's gonna plant one deep.
Full bush.
God bless you, Beck.
All natural.
All natural.
All natural.
I be
there you go.
stroking.
I be stroking.
I be stroking.
Bring your
I
sandpaper.
always be stroking, baby.
Always.
All right, let's hear what Jackie B has to say.
Jackie B.
What up, boys? Jackie B calling from Chicago. Just wanted to leave a voicemail about the Hotline Scream this week about horror movie soundtracks. So I had two in mind, one of which is not so much for the score, but definitely for the sound design, was the Babadook. I just thought that the sound design in that movie was so powerful and so effective. I thought that it was like throughout the whole movie, there was kind of this underlying, like during all the scary scenes, kind of this like chittering, like insect buzz that I feel like throughout the movie just got more and more prominent. And I thought that was really effective. That movie scared the shit out of me. A big part of that was because of the sound design. So props to whoever did that. And then for soundtracks, I would definitely say we need to talk about Kevin. Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead did the soundtrack for that movie, and oh man, when I think about that movie, the first thing I think about is the score. He also did a bunch of Paul Thomas Anderson movies. I know those aren't really horror, but There Will Be Blood also has a great score, also done by Johnny Greenwood. So anyways, yeah, that's my 2 cents. Hope you guys are doing well. Love the episode this week. And that's all I got. Keep chilling.
I love We Gotta Talk About Kevin. That's a great recommendation.
Yeah, I gotta see that. I've never seen it.
It's so good.
It's a very good movie. And yeah,
It's depressing,
Babadook's
but
sound design is so strong.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of the standouts for that show for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with Johnny Greenwood specifically, but that sounds like a pretty illustrious career. It made me think of one of the orchestrators that I enjoy is called Craig Armstrong, and he doesn't do a lot of horror stuff at all. In fact, I don't know that he has done any. The Bone Collector, actually, he did The Bone Collector, but but yeah, he's just got a really good sound. He's in all kinds of things. I found him. Yeah, it's really like I don't know. I can't really describe it. It's good stuff, though. I would recommend that if you're into orchestrated stuff. It's interesting thinking about the sound design, though. Maybe that can be our question for next week. If you have other movies that you swear by the sound design, a la Babadook, a la Paul Thomas Anderson stuff. Well, I guess that's more soundtrack again. But yeah, if there's anything that stands out to you, like what's the best moment of sound design you've heard in a horror movie that you can think of?
Yeah.
We do have one more.
Uno mas.
From our boy and yours, Van Helsing of Cooter Hunting, Heidelberg. Here we go.
What up, fellas? It's your boy Heidelberg. Long time no call. I haven't heard from you guys in a minute. You haven't heard from me. But I'm all caught up on the cast. And this week you're doing my pick, Teeth. This one's for you, Bob. They don't show too many teeth in the movie, but I know you hate them. So I hope you get like uncomfortable at least a little bit. This movie does for sex what Jaws did for going in the water. At least that was the aim, I think, from the director and writer. So you could probably tell, I'm just going to try and put this all in one voicemail. You can probably tell that one of my kinks is, vaginas with teeth. I'm a big teeth guy. Also, I like tossing big sounds, and I like getting my trombone played, rusty style. Who knows? Movies that like to kick off Halloween, I don't really have any. But last year I did do like a subgenre challenge where I watched a different subgenre each day of October, and that was pretty dope. So I think I might do that again this year. So I might switch it up and mix the days around or something. I don't know. Movies I definitely don't watch during Halloween season. I have a short list. Curse of the Confederate Cannibals, or any other movie that Michael's picked for the cast. Sorry, not sorry, Michael. The Prophecy. I love you, Jose. And last but not least, The Frighteners. Suck it, G baby. Yeah. As for favorite horror movie scores, it's a toss-up between The Thing, Nightmare on Elm Street, and It Follows. Bob, you said it last week, and you were totally right. That movie's got a great soundtrack. And as far as hidden gem scores that you got to give it up to, I would say the Madman soundtrack. I just watched this the first time with Joe Bobo last year, I think, and I had never seen that movie, and that ending song was just so good, especially when Joe Bob did a rendition of it, or that dude did. Anyway, I just wanted to say what's up and tell you guys to keep chilling, keep doing what you're doing. All right, guys? Later.
Ooh, there was the Madman soundtrack there. Okay.
And we're sued.
Yeah. Might have to trim
And take
that.
the episode down.
We're going to trim that one out probably to avoid legal implications.
It's the implication.
Because of the implication.
Thank you.
Also, Heidelberg really going hard for
calling everybody out.
Calling all of our listeners out. The Slack is going to be ablaze with blood.
I don't know. Let's see. He's been calling him out. Miles usually picks pretty good, though. I mean,
He didn't
he's
call
got some
Miles
stiff
out. He
competition from Miles. No, I know. I'm just saying Heidelberg getting maybe a little big for his britches. About his picks.
Your britches are
He's
smaller
staring
than
to
you
the
think.
abyss,
That's for sure. Yeah.
Whoa.
I believe Miles picked Vampire's Kiss, so that one alone. But
That's a
Heidelberg
winner.
picked The Burbs.
Yeah.
Heidelberg did pick The Burbs.
Yeah.
Ooh, stiff
It's a
competition.
banger. How stiff, though? Really?
Man.
Real stiff.
Real stiff? Okay, thank you.
So yeah,
I feel bad for G Baby on that one. Calling the Frighteners out. The Frighteners definitely
Yeah, he
sucks,
called him out.
But I still feel bad.
I
for
feel
G
bad
Baby.
because G Baby has been trying to make up for it, but he just keeps sleeping in.
yeah.
He keeps missing it.
I'm gonna
all
show
year.
up to G Baby's house and knock on his door next time we open up the You Pick the Flick and be like, dude, log on now.
It's now.
Do it now.
It's happening.
Get to the chopper now.
One of the final spots of the year. I think he's missed it all year.
I think there's already like some trade pick trading going on, like it's the fucking draft.
Collusion.
People like, hey, I'll give you my pick if you do X.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, there's some collusion. There's some real collusion.
I need to do some black market picks.
So yeah, call into our hotline.
I got some open spots over here. What you give me?
What you give me?
That's that knockoff shit. That's not a real Rolex. That's that knockoff shit.
Knockoff pick. It's a mini
This is how I win
for the $10 tier.
It's all soju now, baby. Dr. Steens.
Dr. Steens will give you what you need.
For our Hotline Scream next week, just trying to zoom along here. The call in and tell us what your favorite instance of sound design has been, or actually, and I just because I was thinking about this as well. We covered orchestrated soundtracks. Let's talk about some pop soundtracks. Who else likes Whoop the Addams Family song? I like it. I think it's hilarious. Where they say Whoop the Addams Family, there it is, and that's the whole song, the whole goddamn song, and fucking the DJ Jazzy Jeff Freddy song, the fucking Pet Cemetery by the Ramones.
It's very good.
There's good shit. Give me your pop picks from horror movies.
I have another question to pose real quick, which came up in the Slack recently, and
This is how the sausage is made.
A few people were weighing in on it. I wanted to throw this out there and see if there's anybody else listening. If your significant other is not into the horror genre, does that cause any sort of strangeness between you? And if so, how do you overcome that? Or are you trying to like wean your significant other into the horror genre? And if so, like, what do you start them out on? You know, how do you tackle that problem?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Let us know.
I also have a question to pose. Might as well throw my hat into the ring, you know?
Let's do it.
How much will you give me for a black market pig?
Rigatoni.
What can I get?
Give this man no money because the pick will not be honored.
Oh my god!
Well, you'll get something.
Black market.
I mean, I can't say it'll be a straight pick.
You'll
how much will you give me? I need to know.
You'll get something from Dr. Staines. Call in at 904-638-3231. That's going to do it for us this week at Straight Chilling. We're going to be back next week with a brand new show. We're going to be talking about the winner of the August poll pick, which was VHS Dose.
Whoa. I need to get that bonus episode prepared.
Bonus episode? Oh, yeah.
My promise, my campaign promise.
Oh, great.
That's right. So watch VHS 2. Get ready for next week's show. Until then, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. You can follow us on Twitter at STR8_chilling, on Instagram at Straight Chilling Podcast. Send us an email through our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. If you want to join in on the Slack channel conversations, let me know on one of our socials, and I'll send you a link to join that. Becky, as always, it was a massive pleasure having you on the show. Thanks so much for stopping by.
Thanks for inviting me, y'all.
Show. We'll see you soon. And until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.
I love being incontinent.